1985 white Lamborghini Countach, two of them. I need a slow motion video right now, cause I'm moving in slow motion, feeling like Hype Williams shooting the nigga Gooten.
Buy this car to drive to work to pay for this car. Buy this car to drive to work to work.
Welcome to Yellow Brick Road. I am Jordan, and today, more on Palestine and Gaza and this whistleblowing guy who worked for the GHF, Anthony Aguilar, I think is his name, is making the rounds. And we're just going to watch some clips and look at some interesting stuff, as you can see on screen. Ugh. Ooh, no excuses for that, huh? But first, don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them, share them, then donate. I swear I'll switch that up one day. It's habit at this point. I'll switch it up. New slogans. Thank you for sharing and donating. Not to me, to the charity stuff in the description box. All right. Here's a truth from Donald Trump. I can't believe they call them truths. Like, it's just that shit crazy. But here's I'm just gonna call it a tweet. Here's the tweet. Wow, Canada has just announced that it is backing statehood for Palestine. That will make it very hard for us to make a trade deal with them. Oh, Canada. Now, what the fuck does that have to do with... If you're backing a statehood for Palestine, essentially saying a two-state solution, what does that have to do with your trade deals? Why would you stop a trade deal over that? It's like, well, these guys are devil worshippers, and they want the worst for the world, so thus they partake in the worst things happening in the world. If there's something shitty going on, I wouldn't be surprised if people like this have a hand in it. I kid you not. We all, at this point, a lot of Americans that compared to before know a lot more about Israel and Gaza and Palestine and the West Bank and all. They know a lot more information about it today, right? And in the face of people seeing videos of starving people or people being shot and killed, bombs going off, hearing the numbers of people killed, in the face of that, someone simply saying, like, oh, maybe they should have their own state so that they can like, you know, get like real state rule and develop laws and rules so that there isn't such chaos happening. There is backing by the UN and on and so forth. You can't just treat them like dirt anymore because they have their own state. You're supposed to respect them as a state. And if a devil worshiper like this guy sees that, he's like, well, fuck you. I mean, let's be honest. He's probably not in control of any of his accounts, right? He's not very slick thinking of a guy anyways, in my opinion. He just repeats a lot of things. Like, he kind of overly repeats things. But yeah, I'm sure it's someone else writing these for him. Either way, of course, it's just a continuation of just bad take after bad take, which is backed by bad policy after bad policy. That is your Trump administration. He is fucking you every which way he can. If you're innocent, you are a threat. I kid you not. I kid you not. Anyways, let's continue. As you can see, Israel themselves are going to, I guess, protest going to France, the UK, and Germany, and Canada if they recognize a Palestinian state. It's like, I mean, for me, I'd be like, so? Like, oh my god, Israel's not going to fucking show up? Fuck, the party's going to be dead then. We need Israel here. Like, no, don't need that shit, bro. So I'd be like, so what? But this thing is about actual trade deals, right? All for seeing like the horrors happening over there. Like, okay, maybe this could be a solution where you give them their state, we get Hamas to, you know, drop their arms and flee, or, you know, the group disintegrates, and we can put in an actual government there. All right? They're like, nah, we don't want. We want them gone. I was saying this from day one of the Trump administration. They want them dead or exiled. Straight up. And we know where Israel's at. Israel's on the same page. These guys are working together. I don't care what fucking words Trump says out loud. It's clear as day. His policy and his political actions all stand behind the idea of exterminating them or getting them to run away. That is it. That's all I've seen. Anyways, here's a post from Aaron Mate. The Washington Post has published the known names. Right? These are people that can be verified. Like, these are verified people. Okay, we know this is an actual person. Published the known names of the 18,500 children killed by Israel in Gaza since October 7th. Once again, this number is probably significantly higher as far as the death toll. Because, once again, they're going with verified names, right? Versus, like, someone who's ripped into pieces, body parts scattered, buried underneath rubble, ran away or got lost somehow and died somewhere else and no one knows where the fuck they are. On and so forth. At every 500th child, the Post tells you how many times or how many names of dead children you've read, which is, incredible. You can see the picture there. You read the names of the 2,500 children who have been killed in the war. I'd say genocide, but because like a war requires like two teams be fighting each other. You know what I'm saying? Versus like a militia versus a superpower-backed military with all this type of weaponry and defense systems and all that shit. And let's be real, the overwhelming majority of people dying over there are civilians. They're not fighters. They're not warriors, right? They're just regular fucking people. A lot of them are children. A lot. Like, I don't think people fucking get it. Like, regular people in America, they have no fucking clue this is happening in their fucking lifetimes. No clue. Anyways, well, to be honest, a lot of people have been, like, brainwashed and mind melted into thinking, well, Arabs, Muslims, bad. Right? They're thinking it's ISIS that's, it's ISIS versus Israel, and they have no choice but to mow people down to get to ISIS. It's not ISIS. Even on this, it's not ISIS. So, yeah. And once again, that is the idea of having people read all of this is, if I had to guess, the point would be that it's like name after name after name. And then when you feel like, damn, I'm exhausted from reading all these names, and you get to the 500th fucking child, you're like, fuck, there's 18,000 more. Yeah, it's that bad. And like I said, these numbers are low. This is a low count, most likely. These are just confirmed. Let's continue with the Orange Penguin himself and his kind of, once again, almost like apathetic take on the whole scenario, right? Somehow people viewed him as like there are still people viewing this guy as like some sort of hero or something. And I'm like, he is a part of what most people consider the ugliest deed happening on planet Earth right now. And he's a part of it. And he funds it. And he arms it. And he knows about it. He knows what's going on. He knows exactly what's going on. But if you say any type of benefit for Palestinians, he's going to be like, yo, fuck you. We'll sanction you, or we're going to fuck with you. Which means what? He's not just complicit. He is a part of it, blatantly and directly. I don't care how many times Alex Jones licks the tip of Donald Trump. It's not going to make shit like this go away. Sorry. But here's the orange cunt himself with this statement. And pay attention, too. Pay attention. You tell me if this guy fucking cares. Right? By the way, Triple H, you should pedigree this fool into the fucking table, bro. Like, actually, that maybe, I'm not condoning violence. Don't do that. But he should have, like, if you were legit Triple H, this guy would have the fear of God looking at you in the eyes. He'd be like, holy fuck, this monster's gonna destroy me. Fuck, he's gonna beat the shit out of me. If Triple H's like, wait a minute. 18,000 kids? That's when Trump's like, oh fuck. Oh shit. Security? He should have the fear of God in his eyes. That requires us all. Anyways, here we go.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, sorry. Let me up the volume here. Twitter clips are just terrible with audio. I don't know why I use them, but just lazy. All right, here we go.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that what is occurring there is a genocide. Do you agree?
Oh, it's terrible what's occurring there, yeah. It's a terrible thing. People are very hungry. You know, the United...
Damn, so, wait. Sorry, I might have missed this when I first listened to this. Isn't that the question Bernie gets? And both of them, somehow these guys that are supposed to be opposing forces, Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, somehow have that similar answer. Like, well, we're not going to call it a genocide because that implies a crime is happening. And if a crime is implied, we have to do something legally to stop the crime. What would it look like if a police officer on duty points out, like, damn, right there, see that thing right there? That's a fucking crime. Like, that's a blatant, in your face, it's not jaywalking, but like an actual fucking crime right in front of my face. There it is right there. And you say, well, not going to do anything about it. Right? An on-duty police officer. That's what these guys are in this sense, right? They're both elected officials. And if they call something a crime, I would suspect they'd have to act on it. Right? Especially considering the circumstances. But I will start this over and let it play again. I just didn't even notice that part when I first watched this. Here we go.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that what is occurring there is a genocide. Do you agree?
Oh, it's terrible what's occurring there, yeah. It's a terrible thing.
He has no idea.
People are very hungry. You know, the United States gave $60 million for food, and it's a shame because nobody, I don't see the results of it, and we gave it to people that in theory are watching over it fairly closely. We wanted Israel to watch over it. Part of the problem is Hamas is taking the money and they're taking the food.
So he gave $60 million, which is chump change, to the United States budget. Let's be honest, right? You're about to increase the military budget past $1 trillion. I think they already did, right? Well into the well past the $1 trillion mark on military alone. So $60 million, it's nothing. It's chump change for these guys, right? But also, who's over there. It's this GHF thing and the IDF overlooking these things. A lot of Americans in that GHF thing, like Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, right? Like, I'm sure he's briefed about what's going on. I don't know how much he cares, but I'm very sure he at least heard the words out loud of them telling him, like, hey, this is what's going on over there. And he's acting as though, like, man, it's like some mistake, some sort of force of nature, some mystery in the universe is just happening over there. I don't understand what's happening. Like, well, people are being shot at on their way to food. They're not really giving out enough portions for that many people. Things like baby formula not getting through. He has to know that. He has to know that. Or at the very least, he heard it. And this fool's out here like, what? Fuck. I gave them $60 million and all of a sudden, Hamas took it all. You know who says that? In this context, you know who says shit like that? Devil worshippers. Straight up. No care for the well-being of other human beings. No fucks given. Maybe, I don't even know if this is true either. Maybe he cares about his own seeds, right? His own kids. Maybe. I don't even, honest to God, with a person like this, I'm not sure if that's true. Maybe they play the part for people to see on the outside. But like, what's going on like in the ticker, in the heart? What's actually going on when you're around your kids or your family? I already seen you use Ivanka as a political fucking tool several times. I already saw that. In fact, you probably arranged her marriage to some fucking port authority, you know, nepo baby, right? So we're like, oh, her life and choices don't matter. And you as dad is here to whittle away her soul to make her just as crummy as you are. Sorry to go on the rant about that, but like, let's be honest, guys. Psychologically speaking, does this guy actually care about anyone? I think this guy does. I think Triple H does. Maybe someone should educate Triple H on what's happening over there. And possibly, if he found out about it, unless he knows already, he's just another little devil worshiper. But if he's like a real dude, and he heard what's going on there, like, I'm prepared to hire security myself to get in between him from chokeslamming this fool into oblivion. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's time to play the game. Time to play the game. The fucking music hits. Those beats to 11 chat is fucking penguin. And by the way, I think they were there to announce some sort of physical education requirements for the country thing. The things that he could never do in his life. Those things, the things he skipped out on. Right? Because, let's be real, he's not an athlete. Never been an athlete. You can tell he's not an athlete. Sorry, you're not an athlete because you have money and can play golf. Got it. Golfers are athletes. He's not an athlete. He's a guy who golfs. Out here demanding other people do physical activities. Like, look at you, bro. Fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You have no right. In any point in your life, you have no right. Anyways. Alright, let's get back to this apathetic statement, or statements. Yes, he's going to ask for a thank you, of course. But he said, well, it's not about thank yous, but I didn't get a thank you.
Over it fairly closely. We wanted Israel to watch over it. Part of the problem is Hamas is taking the money and they're taking the food. But we gave $60 million a couple of weeks ago. Nobody said anything about it. Nobody said thank you. But I didn't need the thank you. I just wanted the people to get fed. And
but everyone's aware they're not really getting fed. Once again, under-portioned amounts of food. Most likely bullshit stories about Hamas stealing the food. That's probably a bullshit thing. Some people have brought up, I think it was doctors bringing up the idea of baby formula. It's like, well, Hamas can't just eat baby formula. Right? I'm sure if they were that desperate, they would. But I don't think they would eat baby formula or drink baby formula. So how come that wasn't getting through? Why was it like arm twisting before they even let a little bit of not enough aid in? I mean, any regular person seeing that and realize like that's what I'm dealing with would be like, okay, fuck you guys. But this guy is all for it. Don't let Alex Jones trick you. And once again, and most people see through Alex Jones, but guess what? There's lesser degrees of that are going to sell Trump to you. Straight up, because they're paid actors, most likely. Because any regular person would flip a shit if they gave money for food for people and it's not getting there. And you have all the answers and news agencies and investigators within your own government and all the power of the president to find out what's going on. And all you do is just repeat the narrative that the fucking country that was holding back the food in the first place. You take their statement without investigating? Fuck out of here. And then when someone says a Palestinian state, you get pissed off. Like, shut them up. Shut up. In a weird way, hard for us to make a trade deal. In a way, he's threatening sanctions on Canada. For what? For thinking about a state for a Palestinian so they don't suffer as much anymore? What do we call those people, guys? Here we go.
I did it. No one cared when I helped out. Like,
We saw that you weren't actually helping out. And the next stories we're going to go over, well, mainly a story from, once again, the whistleblower who was working for the GHF, who has all these medals and honors from the military and active duty, like combat duty and all that shit. He's Purple Hearts, right? He got injured in battle. He's done whatever amount of missions. I guarantee you right now, this guy be like,
well, he's a loser. Fake news leftist.
this guy would say this and crap on a decorated military guy to protect. Once again, I don't even think it's not about Israel, in my humble opinion. It's about fellow devil worshippers. That's it.
Oh, you like malice as much as I do. You like committing crime as much as I do and getting away with it? Awesome. We can help each other out.
If other people are complicit in the crime, they're also They're favored by this guy. We just saw the fucking Al Qaeda guy rise to power in Syria, and Trump shakes his good job, shakes his fucking hand, says, "Man, what a strong guy," and then he takes off sanctions. Meanwhile, Israel bombs him not too soon after, right? Or sorry, not too late after, right? Fuck. Anyways, here we go. It's just an interesting psychological phenomenon that no one's really addressing, I think. No one's like really looking like, man, what does it take for a mind to be like, yeah, let's blow people up, yeah. Yeah, I know what's going on, but yeah, commit the crime anyways. I'll back you. Like, imagine what that psyche is. Here we go.
Wanted the people to get fed, and we're helping out financially with that situation. It's a terrible situation. So just to conclude, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank you for being here. This is a great group.
Okay. If I could, I don't know who these gentlemen are in the background over there. I don't know if they're security or something. They're probably not. They're probably other athletes or something. But if I could just like, you know, the Riddler in that Batman movie from the 90s. What's his name? Joel Schumacher, Batman, or Michael Schumacher, whatever the fuck his name is. It's like, you know, laser vision thoughts into their head. But, yo, guys, this is what's happening over here that this guy does not talk about out loud. I mean, he'll say something about it out loud, but it'll be in favor of one team, which is me. Like, he's just lying. He's bullshitting and lying and trying to brainwash people into supporting devil-like actions. If I could zap that into these gentlemen's brains, I wonder what would happen.
Oh, fuck. I should have worked harder in gym class. Fuck.
He'd get fucking destroyed. Not that I'm saying he should be physically harmed. I'm just saying he should be psychologically harmed. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, let's continue. So, the Anthony Aguilar guy has been making the rounds as of very recent. And just to showcase this, you know, Green Beret, Special Forces, medals, all that shit, right? He's making around. Even Bernie Sanders has him on his shit. They get the pussy Bernie Sanders has him on. He was on Breaking Points with Magic 8 Ball and Sugar. Damn, this shit is shiny. It's a shiny ass suit. You know, Diddy or something? But yeah, making the rounds, telling his story about all the problems that he saw with the GHF, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Then you have this person, which is interesting. Calling Tucker Carlson, essentially, are saying like him and Ilhan Omar are almost the same on this topic. Now, I don't know this person so well, but I've seen, anytime I've heard this person brought up, it's probably on The Last American Vagabond, where he's bringing up, like, look at these fucking idiots, right? Like, pointing out how dumb these people are. And let's be honest, I think it's pretty easy to tell if you're still on the Trump train with all this shit going on. You're probably full of shit. You're probably a paid actor. Paid actor, maybe severely. I mean severely brainwashed to be still on this train, and or like a devil worshiper. Like it's just like interesting. Like look how stupid. Look at the dumbness of this. Look at the dumbness of this. When I was being told men are women, I said no. Wow, what a defiant stance. God, you're so fucking like brave. Wow, but when it comes to starving children and people being blown up, you got nothing to say, do you? Dummy. Who is this dumb person, bro? I almost guarantee it. It's probably some 58-year-old balding dude in a fucking factory somewhere typing these tweets out all day and night. He's in the fucking FBI warehouse somewhere typing away on Twitter, trying to get dumb men to fucking vote Trump. Look what they're doing. They're trying to make men into women, see? Like, fuck, no respect. Like, and then, once again, this probably should have been known about this human being, if it is a person, a long time ago. When people say things like this, like men, like people being told men are women, it's like the lack of empathy towards the topic. I get what she's talking about with the whole trans stuff, right? And there are some people that are definitely over the top, but there's also regular ass people. Just like with any topic, there's also regular ass people, right? There is the Netanyahus out there, but there's also like some random kid that lives in Israel, born there, raised there, all right? And just the lack of empathy is like should be so telling. The lack of empathy on any topic should be like, okay, that's very telling. You're probably full of shit, aren't you? You're trying to create teams in order to pit people against each other to distract them from when an orange penguin tries to help destroy the world. And I'm sure all these other countries have their own versions of these things. Let's just be honest. And it's like, when I was told there was 97 genders, I said no. It's like, wow, you were so defiant. Men and women's sports. Like, these are like verbatim the shit I saw Jimmy Dore like fall for. To a T. Or Dave Smith. The vaccine. BLM. Kamala Harris. When Tucker Carlson and Ilhan Omar parrot the same lies about Gaza and Israel and the United States, I am saying no. Not based on information, right? Not based on any facts. Not based on anything of substance. It's just, I'm just going to say no because I don't want it to be the case. Or most likely, it's a 58-year-old balding dude in an FBI factory typing out tweets all day and night. Or it's just a robot itself. It could be just be a robot. I'm just being honest. And once again, just because maybe they take pictures, this girl has pictures of her in real life or something, she could still just be the actual phenomenon of the tweeting. Could just be some fed somewhere in a closet just typing shit out. Or CIA or whatever. I'm just saying, because to approach things with no empathy is just telltale sign they're full of shit. Sometimes people are just like that, right? They're so hardcore about a topic, or they're potentially psychopathic, just like whatever, in their own natural way, psychopathic. That can happen, but when I see it from content creators, I almost instantly start thinking about, oh, you're full of shit, aren't you? Did that with Candace Owens, or like as Alex Jones, or where there's just like a lack of empathy for, like, oh, well, hey, listen, I don't want, trans women playing in women's sports, right? Because they're men in my book, right? Okay, I understand that. That makes sense. But they are people, right? They're like, they're not all scammers, right? There can be people that like actually genuinely believe in what they're doing or whatever the fuck, right? And there could be other women that are like, yeah, come on in, come play. We don't care. We don't mind. So then there's lack of empathy for them too. But then again, I use my brain and my heart. I can't help it, guys. Some people won't understand what the fuck I'm saying because they're dingbats. Anyways, let's continue. Now, this is the video I am going to be watching and playing. Not all of it. I'm going to probably skip through portions. All right, whatever is interesting to me. Or if if I play something and he just keeps going on with interesting points or something I care to hear, I'll let it keep playing. But it is the Anthony or Tony Aguilar guy on Tucker Carlson, and he's gonna add some details to what was happening over there. Why the fuck is Seth Rich trending? Wait, I'm curious. Presidential fitness test. Yeah, you pass it, Trump. You pass it. The Seth Rich murder is at the heart of the Russian collusion. I already knew about the. Okay. It was tied to WikiLeaks, but who knows? Like, the Trump and Obama administration both call WikiLeaks Russia, by the way. Clinton's killed while Hillary continued to lie so they could spy on President Trump to frame him. Yeah, and if Seth Rich was the guy who leaked it to WikiLeaks, according to Seymour Hersh, did it for money, right? If that's what happened, then Trump punished the WikiLeaks guy. The name and brand of WikiLeaks is Julian Assange, and Trump, before he got elected, said he deserves the death penalty. He said that we should kill him, straight up. He didn't giggle either. He said it straightforward. We should kill him. But then when he got on stage, he'd be like, "Oh no, I love WikiLeaks." And then when he gets in office, he obviously does some fidangling in the background with Ecuador and all this shit in the UK. Does some backroom deals to get Assange arrested and thrown in a fucking torture prison. That is what happened, ladies and gentlemen. So this guy is not some, but people forget about that. Obviously, they forget because I guess they want to forget because QAnon told them to forget. Got it. Anyways, all right, let's get back to this. Here we go. Here is Tony Aguilar with Tucker Carlson talking about his experience in Gaza. Here we go.
So tell us what you saw and
Forgive me, that is pretty loud. Turn it down a little bit, a smidgen. Like, right, fuck. There-ish. Okay, here we go.
I'm grateful to your wife for her encouragement on that. I think she's absolutely right. The United States is paying for this, and there is almost no information coming out of Gaza. The news media, of course, are barred. This has been going on for more than a couple of years now. Yep. It'll be 3 years in October, and the sense is that there's something profound going on, but of course, there's no way to know what's going on. So, what did you see when you arrived? What were your perceptions of Gaza?
So my initial perceptions of Gaza, just in terms of the physical aspect, is that I would just describe it as post-apocalyptic, something from, the akin to Terminator 2 when the T-100s are walking through the destroyed landscape. It's
oh, you goddamn
it's
nerd.
Human depravity. It's the oppression of dignity. It's the entire area, like for example, in the south in Rafah. I saw pictures of Rafah prior to the current war, and there were nice buildings, there were beach resorts, there were street lights and neighborhoods, and now it is leveled to the ground. There is not a building that stands, and the rubble is piled up. And as you drive through Rafah to one of our points, secure distribution site number 3 was in Rafah, so we would have to drive through the old southern Rafah corridor to get there. And all of the homes just in piles and rubble, and you can see, someone's couch that's hanging from a piece of rebar out of the second floor of a building, or a refrigerator smashed, or family photos that were on the wall that are now, shattered and broken. Like, these lives were just destroyed and taken, and that's the scene of Gaza. As you on the news, airdrops were conducted over the last 48 hours. and journalists were prohibited or encouraged not to take video or pictures of the overhead scenery. Because if the world sees that, I think the world would step back and pause to say, what are we doing? What have we become?
That is, to me, the most like. That's why I was like overemphasizing that over and over and over, like where it's like, yo, guy, this is like happening in your lifetime. That's why I keep referencing like history books that we read in class in school and shit, right? Like we read about the Holocaust and all the horrible things that happened, and the movies and that came like Schindler's List and all this stuff that came out afterwards. And it's like, yo, but people are like, damn, they were so barbaric back then, not knowing that in their lifetime we are seeing crazy shit. Crazy. Now imagine there wasn't the internet and there wasn't cameras taking pictures of all this shit. Can you imagine? Can you actually imagine what that would actually look like? These fools probably all be dead already. Be real with you. Dead or expelled already. Fuck, man. Here we go.
You've spent your life in combat zones. That's why I think your testimony is so compelling. Because you have a frame of reference. You've seen a lot of destruction and a lot of killing in your life for 25 years. How would you compare what you saw in Gaza to what you've seen in, say, Afghanistan or Iraq?
Nothing compares. Nothing I have seen in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Baghdad, in Mosul, Sadr City, all throughout Afghanistan, Syria, the southern Philippines, some places where there's dense populations. I have never witnessed anything as brutal, destructive, violent, and I would say that steps far over our international laws of how we persecute wars and how we engage in warfare. We've long departed from that standard, and America's a part of it.
How is it obvious that America's a part of it? I know that we know academically the United States is paying for this and has always paid for it. But do you see American weapons? Do you see American military personnel? I mean, how enmeshed in this are we?
I mean, the video I just played of Trump should tell you, and the quote, the beginning quote about Canada saying, "Oh, we want a Palestinian state," and he's like, "No, you don't. If you do that, we're going to basically sanction you." Right? Like, that should tell you how involved the U.S. is.
So the 314 government contractors under UG Solutions, the majority, not all of them, but in the high 80 percentile, are combat veterans from the military, directly from the military, combat veterans like myself. You have a mix of law enforcement. You have a mix of people that had experience in various security backgrounds. Within that military portion, there's a good portion of them that are special operations, Marine Corps, Navy SEALs, Green Berets. So all of the contractors on the ground are Americans. And the interesting part of that is that when we first entered Israel, I kind of had to take a pause, and I was like, are you kidding? Like, we are in Israel, armed with fully automatic weapons and pistols and shotguns and stun grenades and machine guns, going into Gaza on a tourist visa. We are there on a tourist visa. So if my grandmother wanted to go visit Jerusalem, she would be in Israel under the same status that I was.
Why is that?
At first, I didn't understand it, but then I went and I did some research as to why didn't we do a B1 entry visa as subject matter experts invited by the government or under a different authority. There's various entry visa options. And it dawned on me that, oh, well, if you want to submit for a form of B1 or a different form of the B2 under a work visa, one, that's expensive, and two, that takes time. You have to coordinate that ahead of time. And this mission was thrown together, and there's no one within SRS or UG Solutions that will push back against this, because we all know it. It was thrown together very hastily, and it was just kind of a mix of throwing so many parts together, trying to get it all to come together, that I think things were done to be fast and loose, as I would call it. And one of those was, hey, go online, fill out your Israeli visa, get your e-visa, tourist visa, $25, and come on over to Israel.
That's fucking crazy. So for the sake of expediency, it's even when they do the military bullshit, which is obviously harmful shit that is happening, and yes, U.S. troops are involved, or at least ex-troops are involved, they want to get that shit cracking so fast that they're willing to fudge around the system, essentially, to try to, like, because I said this when Trump first got in, like, the idea is, like, yeah, they're going to try to go, like, real fast and try to get the horrific stuff done with, right?
Finish the job. Get it over with. Just finish the job.
I know there's a bunch of fake talks about ceasefires. Obviously, like, they're going to fail because no one's going to accept any terms because it doesn't make sense for anyone to accept the terms. I'm saying for Hamas or even any type of Palestinian leadership. It's, yeah, bullshit off rip. And I'm going to apologize now to Tucker Carlson. If you want to copyright me, please go ahead. But I suspect I'm going to be watching a decent amount of this. Like, things I haven't heard before, this guy is now saying. But, all right, here we go.
You said all of the
Also full
contractors are American. The Israeli military, the IDF, leveled Gaza.
They sit in the back.
Are there any Israelis helping to
They sit in the back,
feed
hundreds of yards away, taking pot shots at Palestinians?
Take care of, sustain the life of the Palestinians, or is it all Americans who are helping?
So this is what was another aspect that was both interesting and concerning to me. That,
by the way, the little Trump press conference I played before where he's saying,
yeah, we gave it to Israel to handle it, and they're handling it.
Like, no, there's plenty of Americans on the ground playing a role in this. Once again, maybe not. I mean, they are government-backed, right? But it's not the official military. But, like, come on. It's like the same thing. Come on. It's like Blackwater. It's the same shit. Here we go.
Who are helping.
So this is what was another aspect that was both interesting and concerning to me. That, and I raised this issue early on because, you know, when I use the term war crimes, people think that, oh, you're just exaggerating. Well, I'm well versed in the protocols of the Geneva Convention, the protocols of the laws of armed conflict, the protocols of international humanitarian law, because I had to know those things as an officer leading men in combat. I didn't have the option. Ignorance was not an option. So
right.
Some of the things now I don't have it, memorized, but there's some pretty key elements in it that kind of stand out. Like I don't know every word to the Constitution, but I can recite the preamble. So I know what some of them are in terms of what the don'ts are. One thing that struck me as concerning is that there are only 4 secure distribution sites in Gaza under the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. 4. Prior to the blockade and prior to the stopping of UN aid going in, there were 400. So out of the 4 sites that we have, only 4, 3 of them are co-located within 150 to 200 meters from each other, all of them in the far southwest corner of the enclave near the Egyptian border. It's nowhere near the people that need it. North of the Netzarim corridor, which bisects central Gaza from the north. In the north, you have Gaza City and Jabalia. That is where the population right now is the most vulnerable, where you have death, starvation. They're isolated. No aid is going into there, and there's no aid sites there. So prior to us deploying, as a prudent military planner mindset, I'm not in the Army anymore, but I didn't, I still carry the skills. I did a little bit what I would call operational preparation of the environment. I did my research, looked at Gaza, figured out the population, where the population centers were, what people ate, where they primarily lived and what they did. And I saw that, okay, well, the entire northern enclave of Gaza is cut off and isolated, and none of the sites that we've put in are in that area. So who are we providing aid to? So the 3 sites out of the 4 that are all the way down in the southern tip of the enclave, all of them are co-located or nearly located with an IDF combat unit. In that area is where the IDF is actively conducting, and this is not an opinion that anybody can refute. This is a fact. You can look it up. The IDF is currently conducting Operation Gideon's Chariots. It's an offensive operation. It's not defensive. It's not a security. It's not an aid operation. It is an offensive combat operation, and they are conducting that in the south, where all 3 out of the 3 or 4 sites are located. We established secure distribution sites to deliver and distribute humanitarian aid, not only co-located with Israeli combat units, but located in an active combat zone. I can't make it clearer to the leadership there and to the lawyers that I've spoke with at GHF and UG Solutions that is a war crime, verbatim, out of the protocols of the Geneva Convention, which last time I checked, the United States was still a signatory to, and the laws of international laws and international humanitarian law. Clearly, there's no question about it. So to say that, well, it's okay in this one instance, it's not. It's not okay. So just from immediately being there, I realized that the planning and the coordination for this operation had either been done by people that had no idea, no concept of planning at that level to take into all the considerations that you have to take into an environment like this. You can't just go into a mission like this and say, oh, we'll just wing it. You have to consider the legal, the political, the environmental, the cultural, the military aspects. You have to consider every aspect when you go into planning something like this. And it was obvious that had not been done. So in my mind, I was like, this is either complete ignorance or it's intentional. They were intentionally put here. So I don't know the answer to that. Someday that's going to come out when the truth breaks and the international community looks and opens this box and starts digging into this nasty problem. The truth will come out. So it's my hope that we didn't do that intentionally, because that would not only make us war criminals, that would just make us evil. So, but the fact still remains, 3 of the 4 distribution sites are in an active combat zone. The 4th site up in central Gaza near the Nessarim corridor is co-located with an Israeli combat unit, a tank unit, mind you. A Merkava tank company is located adjacent to the distribution site. So if someone were to look through the annals of history and see how the United States government participated in the distribution of humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza, and they look at the maps and they're looking at everything, they're like, what was going on here? Why are you distributing humanitarian aid in the middle of a combat zone? It's a question that needs to be asked and needs to be answered, I think.
That was one of the most thorough answers to a question I think I've ever heard. What the fuck? Put this guy in front of Congress and let him testify that there's no more excuses. No excuses, because he's recognizing the thing that I'm recognizing, where it's like, it's either you are a drooling, 3/4 of your brain missing, you can't even walk correctly without help, like you're in that level territory of ignorance, or you're complicit. That's what I'm fucking seeing. And there's no way I believe that they are that incapable, right? Trump is not, like I said, not some ignorant motherfucker in regards to the topic. He knows what's going on. He's okay with it. And in fact, he supports it because they like the devil. Duh. Just being honest. You may not like that terminology, but fuck it. What else do we call it? Anyways, let's continue.
Do you have any sense of what the current...
I'm sorry. Once again, just put this guy in the fucking stand in America and let him talk to Americans. Not just on Tucker Carlson or Breaking Points or Bernie Sanders. Like, this guy's talking to everyone as of right now, like in social media. But put this guy in front of the Congress so that they have no fucking excuses. Zero. Like, now you guys know. What are you going to do about it? You can't do nothing, because then we'll discover that you're criminals, right? Whoever the criminals are in Congress or the Senate or the executive branch, right? Here we go. Let's continue. And thank God the guy is also crossing over into the idea of morality, right? Like, this is fucking evil. These actions are fucking evil. Thank you, Crystal, before going in that direction with the Alyssa, whatever her name is, Slotkin. It's like, I'm telling you, put it in that context because it belongs in that context. It really does. There's no one out there, like, good luck finding a person that would be willing to out loud say, like, well, yeah, that's morally okay to do, to blow up children or starve them. That's okay to do. It's okay. Even if they believe that, they're not saying that shit out loud in front of people, dude. It'll be in a quiet spot in the back of their head. They probably wouldn't tell their wives or their husbands or their kids what they really thought. Right? So putting things in a moral context is not just, in my opinion, not just important. I think it's necessary. I think it really is. Like, this is what I believe. I believe this is wrong. Here's why it's wrong, and I'm going to explain all of it, which is what I think this guy is doing. That is so fucking needed. All right, here we go. Sorry to filibuster. Don't copyright me, Tucker. I'm being nice. Here we go.
And needs to be answered, I think.
Do you have any sense of what the current population of Gaza is? Which is another way of asking, how many people have been killed? How many Palestinians have died in Gaza? Do we know?
Well, I don't think anyone has a firm number that we can all collectively trust. I know that the Gaza Health Ministry has a number. I mean, I haven't been able to validate or verify that, but I know that one thing I can tell you for a fact is that people have been killed. I've seen it. Like, it's a fact. People have been killed. What the current population is now,
for no reason.
I know that prior to the blockade, kind of the last census for Gaza that was taken in, I believe, 2018, the population was declared to be around 2.21 million. What it is now, I don't know, but I would assume that the population has been greatly decreased. What I do know about the population, outside of the demographics of the size, is that the majority, a far majority of the population, is completely isolated from the central southern portion of Gaza, and they're completely isolated in the south, or excuse me, in the north of the Mediterranean corridor in Gaza. So that would be if you took every.
What do you think he means by it's isolated from the south? As in, like, there's a line and there's no way to get to the south by something?
I think they're packed into kind of areas, like military marched back into areas. I would assume that most people are in the south, if I had to guess. That's where they're like, because there's a lot of people being funneled from one direction,
well, he said
from
the
the north
opposite.
to the south. What?
He said most of the population is this Gaza area, and Rafah is the south. Gaza City. He said most people are in the Gaza City area, which is confusing because we've heard reports on reports that, like, everybody's been forced into Rafah, which is the Egyptian border.
Yeah.
So I'm confused by what he means by they're isolated. Is it like section, like you would think, like an Orwellian thing, like you must stay in your district, or if you cross your district you get shot, kind of thing? I don't know, but I wonder what he means by their ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that that's how they've always been living. Like before this, I remember somebody describing a visit to Palestine. It was something about like 4 years ago, and yeah, they are controlled spaces. Like they're like prisoners. Like they can't cross into Israel like freely. Like
No. I get that. To get out of their giant cage, well, not even giant, but they're what's called Gaza cage.
Mm-hmm.
There's a border you got to cross through. But are there borders within Gaza?
Probably. And probably like unofficial ones, right? Where it's like, yeah, don't roll through here because we'll just call you Hamas and probably shoot you. Right? It's where, like, you don't even need to make a rule about it. They just know if you go over here, you might get shot and killed. just like with the food aid.
So it's like
right?
it's like Hunger Games with districts. That's the idea.
Seemingly. And I have to hear him again. I don't know. I didn't hear him say exactly that it's a larger population in Gaza City.
He said it like a minute ago, so I don't know how far back you would have to go into it.
I can just go back to the beginning of where he answers the question, I guess. Yeah, well, I understood that, like, slowly but surely, like, because I saw, this is, like, probably a month ago where I seen this, where they were reports of, yes, there were still people in northern Gaza, but they were being slowly put, because they're knocking down buildings and houses, dude. Like, they're just rolling through shit. And I would assume at some point, those guys are going to have to actually, like, leave. Which means it's probably divide and control at this point. And maybe, who knows? I don't know. I can't say I know. I thought the idea was, like you said, that they were being, like, funneled towards Rafah, towards the Egyptian border, and having, like, their back, like, the ocean, Egypt, and then the IDF is the other side, just, like, cornering you. And I thought they were, like...
That's the reports I've heard. Yeah.
And then the guy was saying, right, the aid is only in... 3 of the 4 aid places are in a particular place, right? Thus, you would probably expect people to try to go for, like, if they're in central Gaza, they'd try to, like, make their way down to get food, right?
Well, he also said that 4th one is right next to a tank division.
Yeah, well, they're all near military things, as far as I understand. The IDF is overlooking all of this, and they have been killing. And that's whistleblown by IDF members. They're like, yeah, there's people here that we know are unarmed, and we're shooting at them. And I would assume if someone's, like, desperate for food, right? I mean, that's probably a long journey coming from, like, central Gaza, right, trying to make its way to southern Gaza, right? And if they get there too early, they get shot at. If they get there too late, they get shot at. If they walk out of bounds, they get fucking shot at. So it's like, imagine going all that way and then not getting any food, and it's like, damn, that's a journey to get back home with no food.
Right, and it'd be like crossing a major city just for food. So there's your day. There's your whole day as well.
Yeah. Oh man.
Because you're doing it on foot. I'm guessing most of them are on foot at this point.
They can get cars, as far as I understand.
I mean, but most of them are too poor for cars. And
well, a lot of neighborhoods
cars is
have
one
been
thing.
blown up. Yeah.
Right, and gas and oil.
Yeah. But all right, here we go. Let's hear if he says that part again. About more people in Gaza City. Let's hear it.
In Gaza, do we know?
Well, I don't think anyone has a firm number that we can all collectively trust. I know that the Gaza Health Ministry has a number. I mean, I haven't been able to validate or verify that, but I know that one thing I can tell you for a fact is that people have been killed. I've seen it. Like, it's a fact. People have been killed. What the current population is now, I know that prior to the blockade, kind of the last census for Gaza that was taken in, I believe, 2018, the population was declared to be around 2.2, 2.21 million. What it is now, I don't know, but I would assume that the population has been greatly decreased. What I do know about the population, outside of the demographics of the size, is that the majority, a far majority of the population, is completely isolated from the central southern portion of Gaza, and they're completely isolated in the south, or excuse me, in the north of the Netzarim corridor in Gaza City. So that would be if you took everybody in New York and crammed them to southern Manhattan and said that's the only place you can be out of all of New York City. It's a nightmare, and I don't know why. Well, to be fair, I do know why it's happening. I don't know why we're accepting it. I don't know why we're a part of it, because it's a war crime to do that. It is a war crime to intentionally displace the civilian population on the battlefield in combat operations. What is displacement? Well, moving people from where they live to a place that they don't and not letting them go back. It's in the fourth protocol of the Geneva Convention, and we just turn a blind eye to it. It's happening. I mean, Netanyahu himself has said it. Yesterday, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation did a press conference where they even introduced it as, we are feeding the starving and displaced population of Gaza. Okay, thank you, Chapin Fay. You just admitted to a war crime. You're displacing the population. I mean, these aren't rules that Tony Aguilar wrote. These are rules that the international community wrote and agreed to, and we're not following them. Now, what the IDF does, is that on us per se? At the strategic level, I think it would be as one of our allies, but at the ground level, maybe it's not. But we are definitely complicit in this ongoing operation.
Oh, yes.
And when the world look what's happened in the last couple of days. France is going to recognize them. Canada is going to recognize them. The United Kingdom is about to recognize them.
Sorry, but they're thinking about doing it. We don't know if it's confirmed yet. They're thinking about it, which once again may just get vetoed by, the U.S. and whatever, right? Which is a big deal. But all right, here we go.
The reasons why and the politics aside, the fact that they're going to do that is a fact. That is a reality. So the world is going to become far, far more interested in what's going on, because I think the world has taken the blinders off to now look, okay, maybe it's not as bad as the far left says, or it's not as good as the far right says, but something's going on here. Like, something stinks in Mudville. Like, we got to take a look at this. And when they look at it and they open that box, the IDF, the Israeli government, with hands in the air, they're going to go, wasn't us. America helped us do it. It's their money. And then the world's going to say, what say you, America? And right now, we do not have a good answer for that. And if we're going to bank on, oh, well, we didn't know, or we just did what the IDF did, shame on us. Shame on us. That is not the American way. Those aren't American values. We don't kowtow to somebody else's standards. We set the standard.
Aguilar doesn't sound too American to me.
Thank you, Colonel, for doing this interview. How are people eating in the north? If there's one distribution center in the middle of a combat zone and the majority, you say you think the majority, or certainly a big chunk of the population is in the north or central Gaza, northern Gaza, how are they eating?
Great question. I don't know.
Is the Israeli government bringing food in?
I do know that within the Israeli government, there's an organization called Kogat. It's at the government ministerial level that includes I would compare it to what like USAID was if USAID belonged to the Ministry of Defense or the Department of Defense, like militarized aid type of thing, or militarized humanitarian assistance. That's how I would describe it.
State Department.
It's an organization called Kogat, COTAG. It's an acronym. I can't recall it off the top of my head because I didn't have much interaction with them. But I know that Kogat does coordinate for the IDF. So not the UN escorted by the IDF, not the IDF escorting us, but escorts humanitarian aid trucks that we provide, GHF trucks. We will provide some to the Israelis to drive into certain areas of the central corridor. In my time there, until like just the last couple days when the UN trucks were allowed to go into the north. So when you see the trucks on the news that are being swarmed with thousands of people, that's not in the south by the three distribution sites or central Gaza. That's north of the Netzarim corridor. So those trucks aren't coming in from the Egyptian border going all the way up and they're getting just attacked all the way. They're going directly into the heart of darkness. They're going through the Erez crossing, which is the Israeli Gaza crossing to the north, and they're going directly in with aid to a starving population that hasn't had any food for months. So what they're eating, what they have been eating, I don't know. And I think that with the UN going back in there and with the international community going back in there, we're going to find some things that it's not going to be pretty. I mean, that reckoning is coming. The people in the northern portion alone, I know, are facing mass starvation. Now, I'm not educated in humanitarian assistance or World Food Program in terms of what declares a technical state of famine. I know there's like a certain level of not eating for a certain amount of days within a population that equals famine. So I don't know if I could technically call it a famine because I don't know what those rules are, but I would call it starvation. So and I'm glad that the president of the United States came out last week, or yesterday, on Politico and other outlets and said that he acknowledges and recognizes the starvation in Gaza. Thank you, Mr. President. That is exactly what's going on.
Don't think that
the narrative of there's no starvation and there's no hunger going on in Gaza, that is negligent. That is shameful that anybody would say that. Not only is it evident to the world, I've seen it. So if you don't trust doctors and lawyers and aid workers and NGOs and Europeans and Westerners and Middle Easterners and all these people all over the world, Asians, everybody that's been in there that has seen this problem set, if you don't believe them, you can believe me. I'm an American. I was there. I have no agenda in this. I witnessed Palestinian parents, men and mothers and fathers, carrying their dead children in their arms, skeletons. I witnessed that. I've witnessed people that have come onto the sites that you can see that they are just completely emaciated and starving. That's not fake. So if the deniers want to think that we got Stanley Kubrick to go into Gaza and take a bunch of crisis actors and shoot a film on to fake this starvation, but it's real and people are dying at this point right now.
My God.
Because we, the United States, the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, put up our hand and said, we'll do it. The starvation at this point has gotten worse than it was before because the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation's process is leading to that starvation because it's not delivering enough aid, not even nearly enough, not even.
I'm trying to let stories happen.
Go back.
Pause, but God. What do you want?
Could you go back to that footage where they showed like 6 people carrying grain bags
I'll play the whole
through a crowd so let's say you get some food and you get one of those grain bags and you're walking through that crowd of 2,000 people, and then at some point in the day they know they're going to run out of those grain bags, so why not just attack the dude with the grain bag? Like, you're desperate.
I'm sure there's plenty of shit that if we could zoom into individual like events happening within the giant crowd, I'm sure you're going to see plenty of that shit.
And that's not even like, you can't say that's Hamas who attacked the one guy with grain. No, that's somebody who's fucking starving and is like, I'm sorry, but fuck, dude, I'm gonna die.
Essentially the zombie apocalypse. Where it's like, sorry, I can't help you. I gotta, keep the food for myself and protect my family.
Right.
Or they could be cunts, right? They could be assholes. They're like, yo, fuck you. I'm gonna live. I don't even have family. I just want this for myself. Like, there's a whole bunch. Like, it's people, right? It's fucking people.
Right.
It's clear as day. And somehow our president can't find any words of critique for this. I'm sure he's seen any type of footage, any of it. There's been plenty, other than this Tony Aguilar here. There's been plenty of footage of giant crowds fighting over relatively small amounts of food. And then imagine you're like a kid on your own. Imagine that. You got to deal with like grown men fighting over food. Man, good? Oh, you weren't? Okay. All right, let's play it again. Here we go.
That's not fake. So if the deniers want to think that we got Stanley Kubrick to go into Gaza and take a bunch of crisis actors and shoot a film on to fake this starvation, but it's real and people are dying at this point right now because we, the United States, the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, put up our hand and said, we'll do it.
Oh, my shit's overheating a
bit. The starvation at this point has gotten worse than it was before because the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation's process is leading to that starvation because it's not delivering enough aid, not even nearly enough, not even nearly to be a fraction of enough. And I've got those numbers quick to talk about if you'd like, but it's
Yes,
shocking when you
I
hear
would.
the numbers.
I would.
Okay.
I would, and I would be interested at some point to learn a lot more about the Gaza, about this foundation, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
I would too. I think the world would like to know more about the foundation.
And the man who runs it, was a prominent Christian Zionist. I don't think he has a background in aid distribution. He strikes me from reading about him as a political figure. So I'm a little bit confused by this, but it sounds like we all have reason to be alarmed by it. So if you could proceed with those numbers.
We should be alarmed by it.
Grateful.
I'd feel safer. I'd be safer grading a driving test by Ray Charles than listening to Johnny Moore talk about humanitarian assistance. He has no background in there.
Have you met Johnny? I'm sorry to laugh. Have you met Johnny Moore?
I have not sat down and had coffee with the man. I saw him when he came to the main control center in Gaza to visit and then go out on a little photo op to Site 1. So they brought him in under, heavily armed security. It's like kind of one of the things when the in-laws visit, you put out the good towels. So, when Johnny Moore visits, you roll out the red carpet. So of course, when he gets there, everything's great. Everything's spick and span. But what's funny is that it wasn't spick and span, because while he was there, and another of the supporters that they brought in, Lieutenant Colonel, British Army. I don't know him. I've never met him, but I've seen some of his interviews on site. As he's standing there talking, you can hear machine gun fire in the background. I mean, it's akin to Baghdad Bob in 2003 proclaiming on CNN that there are no Americans in Baghdad as an M1 Abrams tank rolls right behind him. There are no Americans in Baghdad, and then an Abrams tank from the third ID comes right behind him, and he looks back and he's like, "Okay, there are some Americans in Baghdad." Like that's that's like what this is right now. It's like no one's starving in Gaza. Well, that person looks like they're starving. Okay, there's some people starving in Gaza. It's like, when is America going to wake up to the garbage? This is real. Like, people are dying. So, I'd love to know more about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Not a lot of people can figure anything out. I'd love to. And the thing is that not revealing your sources, not revealing who you are, not revealing where your income comes from, not revealing who your backers are, not revealing what you do, not providing any reports, not allowing reporters to go in, not providing transparent looks at your operation. You know who else does things like that? North Korea, Russia, China. Are those the people that we want to say that we're like?
Okay.
No. America is founded on transparency. Our country was founded on calling out other people's bullcrap. Calling out
not
other
my
people's,
America.
Like, hey, that don't look right. T-tax? Nah, not paying that. Not going to put up with that. America is founded on that. And yet we're just sitting by and letting this happen. And going back, so I have not met him.
Let me just ask, do you know who is funding the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation? Is it's an arm of the State Department? It's independent NGO? What do you know where the money comes from?
I don't. Who is funding it from its base, and like who has funded it from the beginning, and who put the seed money into getting it off the ground? I have no idea, but I do know that many people in the United States government and within the media outlets have been working for quite a long time to try to figure that out. One indicator for me, it's like, when you're looking at a problem, I call it like Occam's razor. When you can't figure out what you're trying to find, but you can see the things that are there, it starts to tell you a picture of what the thing is that you can't see. It's like the science of a black hole, right? Like, you can't see it, but you can see everything that's happening around it to tell you what's happening. So I would say in this, okay, we have the Gaza Humanitarian Fund led by a Christian Zionist who has no experience in humanitarian assistance and humanitarian aid. That Switzerland would not take GHF's accounts. Switzerland would even open an account for Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
And they won't open one for GHF. That's telling. Like, that's like, whoa, that don't pass the sniff test.
What the fuck?
Furthermore, the number one guy in charge of GHF, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, Jake Wood, who was a former employee in the beginning of the early paramilitary contractor Blackwater days. I don't know if he was necessarily attached directly to Blackwater, but I know he was in that contractor realm. Jake Wood, the very first day we began distribution on 26 May, cutting of the ribbon, the golden shovel, the shotgun start for the marathon. You know what Jake Wood did? I'm out. Not going to be a part of it. The guy in charge of the entire Gaza Humanitarian Foundation on the day we started distribution for this mothership project quit. And he quit and he stepped down citing reasons of unethical practices, not being prepared to execute this mission properly. And that's exactly what it is. So
Interview that
a couple
guy.
weeks later, Boston Consulting Group,
Well, he might.
they stepped down because
not.
they found out that there was things going on that weren't initially conveyed to them in the contract. So they left. So when everyone starts jumping ship, you kind of start to look around like, where's the hole? Like right now, I feel like the United States, that we're just rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. It's snapped, it's going down. And instead of like trying to figure out how to get to a lifeboat or trying to figure out how to call for help, we're just rearranging the deck chairs, listening to the band as the ship goes down, because we believe what people like Johnny Moore say. And it's easily, I wouldn't say it's discreditable. I'm not out to discredit anyone. I'm just here to present facts that GHF themselves have proclaimed. So yesterday, and when Chapin Fay...
Before he continues on there, sorry to cut him off. I do want to mention, remember, a lot of that, remember the Doge and the USAID stuff and all that stuff, right? And like, oh, the USAID, we got to get rid of them, right? Well, actually, a lot of the components of it actually moved to the State Department under Marco Rubio, who's also a national security advisor as well. And once again, he says he doesn't know who's paying these guys. Like, I leave room for that possibility of State Department quiet money, because now there's 10 times the secrecy because it's under the State Department versus being kind of its own like USAID, thing, right? Kind of like publicly sourced and all that stuff, right? So just throwing it out there, but here we go.
Proclaimed. So yesterday, and when Chapin Fay finished the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation press conference, of which they took no questions, when he finished, he said, we're going to get back to work delivering 96 million meals to date. We should not be celebrating that. That is not a mark to congratulate. And here's why. We've been delivering aid when he announced that yesterday. We've been delivering aid for 65 days. 65 days. Now, you don't have to be Copernicus to figure this out. 96 million divided by 2.21 million divided by 3 meals a day divided by 65 days. We have provided food for 15 days out of 65 into the enclave. What happened to the other 50 days? So to say that people aren't starving and people aren't hungry, I beg to differ. What that breaks out to, imagine you're home. I mean, I assume you prefer to eat a meal at least once a day, maybe 2 or 3, like the standard breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Most Americans think that is the standard. If you're only eating 1 meal a day, okay. What if I told you that I'm only eating 1 meal on Thursday and 1 meal on Monday? That's all I'm eating. Would you be like, oh man, that's great. You're in a good place? No, you would say like,
no.
That's stupid. Why are you're starving yourself? It's if my son went to school and the teacher started to notice that he was losing weight and he was emaciated, and they came to my house and they said, Mr. Aguilar, is your son eating? Yeah, feed him every 3rd day, bowl of cereal every 3 days. I'll feed him. Great. They're going to be like, you should not be a parent, and we're taking your child away from you.
Yes.
So the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation should not be doing humanitarian aid, and the United States government should say no and take away the child, which is Palestine, Gaza, and take all that money and support the United Nations process. We've been a part of the United Nations for 80 years this year. 80 years, 1945, since the United States was one of the signatories to the creation of the United Nations. And we're giving them the finger. Why? Because of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation that is killing people? That's the math. Those numbers that I just gave you, that's using their number. So if GHF is going to start politicizing math, then I think we're in a bad place.
God damn. Once again, I'm not some person that just takes everything that someone says at face value, but god dang it, this sounds... I don't know. I can't say I know, but I'm leaning towards I don't think he's bullshitting. I'm sure there's things here or there, like maybe like numbers here or there, but the overall sentiment sounds absolutely correct to me. Doesn't mean I'm just accepting it as truth. I'm just saying like that's where I'm leaning intuitively. And once again, I apologize to Tucker Carlson. Please, I guess, copyright me if you have to, but I can't find a point where I want to stop listening to this because it sounds very informative and it's like more of an insight than, especially with this the food distribution and the GHF and all that stuff like that I haven't heard before personally. So I'm letting it run. Here we go.
GHF is going to start politicizing math.
Jesus.
Then I think we're in a bad place.
How are you treated, and how are the other American contractors treated by the IDF and the Israeli government?
What? That's your question for that?
That would be a mixed bag depending on what level you were at. I clearly remember
that's your follow-up, Tucker?
on it was the 24th of May.
God damn it.
A select few of the leaders were taken to the sites, to the secure distribution sites, to kind of get eyes on and kind of get a feel for for what the sites looked like, kind of get an assessment. And I went to one of the towers. This is Site 1. Site 1 is really close to the Mediterranean, right in the corner of Egypt and Gaza and the Med. And I went up to the western tower, and I'm just kind of looking out, assessing the area. And sitting next to the tower, kind of at the base of it, outside of the berm, was a group of Israeli soldiers, and they looked up to me and they say, "Oh, are you an American?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, are you here for the aid?" I was like, "Yeah." And they asked me, "Why are you feeding our enemy? Why is America coming here to feed our enemy? You're not helping." And I was like, "Oh, that's I don't have an answer for you. Can I get back to you later?" I don't have an That's how they see it. So the guys on the ground, the grunts on the ground, the fighters, the IDF guys on the ground, their perception is that the humanitarian aid going into Gaza is feeding the enemy.
What about the women and children? I mean, I understand they don't want you helping Hamas, the leadership of Hamas. That makes sense, but these are civilians you're feeding, right? Women and children, and elderly people, and
women, children, the disabled, the elderly, the needy. Yeah, that's who we're feeding. Or that's what I should say, that's who we're not feeding. That's who we're supposed to be feeding.
So how are those people the enemy in any war? Those are just the bystanders. Those are the people who didn't choose the war, who weren't fighting in the war, who were just being hurt by the war.
And that comment from this, infantry, IDF infantry soldier on the ground, that's a perception. And I think we've also heard the perception from the highest levels of the Israeli government that all of Gaza, it's all Hamas. Everybody's Hamas. And the reason that's striking to me is I feel like someone handed Bibi Netanyahu a list of the violations of the Geneva Convention, but took the numbers off of it, and he's just checking them off, like displacing the population. Well, do that. It's like, okay, well that's a war crime. Firing at the civilians to control the population. Okay, well, targeting civilians with lethal ammunition to control the population verbatim is a war crime. So you got that one, check. What next? What do you got next? We're going to build the humanitarian distribution sites in the middle of combat zones. Oh shit, there's protocol 3. Got it.
And use them as concentration.
What's next? Oh, how about we label the entire society as Hamas and kill them all? Wow, bingo! You just got it straight across, because now you just made another war crime statement, because the Geneva Convention specifically prohibits the classification of an entire population as the enemy based on the actions of a few. Is Hamas all of Gaza? No, of course it's not. Are we treating them like they're all Hamas? Yes, we are. Another war crime.
Forgive me for pausing, but this is it's not a side note, but it's like kind of the showcase to you, like why I use this word devil worship. Because, once again, not that it should be the biggest topic of all time, but the whole Epstein thing, right? People are like demanding for any bits of information, right? Like, give us anything. You've given us basically nothing, right? Give us something, right? But watch. See this guy right here? This Anthony Aguilar guy, or Tony Aguilar? You watch the information pour out about, like, to shit on him, by the way, to make him look bad. You fucking watch the information that pours out, mysteriously out of nowhere, a shit ton of information about this guy. That's an attempt to make him look bad. All of a sudden. Granted, I don't think the government will put their hands on it and be like, we're gonna call out this Aguilar guy. That'd be very ballsy to do. That'd be crazy, right? Although it wouldn't be too crazy for the Trump administration, but I would suspect that they'd quietly slip information here to this journalist or this influencer, slip some information over there to this journalist or this influencer to make them look bad. All of a sudden, they're on the job. They can just find out every little detail. They can find out how many pimples are in this guy's fucking arm. Fuck. What was his mile run in his freshman year of high school? What time did he get on his mile run? They'll find all that shit, won't they? All of a sudden. I'm just saying, like, that's something to actually pay attention to. So I'm very sure. I think though. All right, let me show you this because everything will be sourced. This thing. As you can see right here, they're already trying to shit on this guy, right? So I'm telling you right now, and this guy's doing a full-blown press tour on the left, on the right. He's featured in a Bernie Sanders video, like this guy's like doing a world tour right now, and devil worshippers don't like that. If I had to guess, so thus the point is to discredit him somehow, and you watch the information pour out. But I just wanted to say that. Here we go. Let's go back to it.
So when I bring up these points about war crimes, it's not this politicized, bombastic, like, oh, you stepped on my foot, that's a war crime. Like, the war crimes are verbatim. The things that they say, not us, they say it. We're displacing the population to move them to do combat operations. That's a war crime. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
well, you're a professional Army officer of 25 years, West Point graduate. So, I mean, this is your business in a sense. So, like, there are rules.
It is.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I think you have credibility. You're not, some hippie saying it's a war crime. It's like literally a war crime because there is an actual definition. And it sounds like they've met.
There is an actual definition. There's a definition of it. And when people call certain things war crimes that look horrific, I'm like, well, that's not. But I understand that is horrific, but that's not. But there are things that by definition violate the protocols of the Geneva Convention, violate the the laws of armed conflict. They're black and white. It's like reading a driver's ed manual, like stop at a red light. That's the law. It's not something you can do sometimes unless you want to get a ticket. So it's one of those things to where it's like there's a book that tells us these things. The answers to the test are in this book. Someone should read it.
Well, they also violate the conscience of any person watching, and that's an affront.
Yes.
So okay,
to me is like the most important point, right? Because these guys can willy-nilly make laws up to justify what they're doing, right? We've already seen that. We've seen that with the war on terror. Like I said, to some guy, maybe he's just ignorant. He's protecting Alex Jones, thinking he's legitimate or something like that. Maybe he's a fan of him. Maybe he's just thinking I'm out of my mind. But the idea, like, yeah, we're bombing Somalia to this very day. Still bombing them. Do you know about it, Americans? Most of you don't. This Congress even, like, I'm sure some of them know, but they're not really talking about it. But they don't need Congress's permission to do that, right? And by the Congress, that means they need your permission, like state by state. They need your permission to do that. But they don't actually need that because they wrote a law to allow it, right? That's why I say fuck laws. Let's get to, like, what is our sensibility? What is our moral sensibility? What are our principles on the matter? That should, in my opinion, overstep written laws by some people we don't fucking know personally. We don't know them. I'm just saying. But anyways, here we go. Sorry, Tucker. Don't copyright me.
Of any person watching. And that's enough for
Yes.
us. So okay, so
Yes.
I've asked around the story. I just wanted this. You've provided
Bring morality
very,
back.
very helpful context. And again, thank you for your time in doing this. So now to the question: how did the Israeli military, the IDF, treat Palestinian civilians?
I could describe it as nothing more than they treated them like animals. Even the UG Solutions and the SRS personnel on the ground. What was concerning to me, because I witnessed this in years of Iraq, when you get down the road and you start describing people in a certain way, you start to dehumanize them. Even the U.S. contractors on the ground called them the zombie horde.
Or illegals,
IDF,
right?
And in some cases, we.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a good point, man. I'm sorry. But we, like, I see Americans doing that with, like, illegals. Like, well, that's someone's mom or someone's dad or someone's kid, right? It's like, once empathy, I said this earlier, once empathy is just left out of your assessments for things, like, I look at you as, like, sus already. Whether you're a gun-ho psycho, like Tim Kennedy or fucking Jocko Willink, or, you know, you're complicit in committing crimes because, like, you need an excuse, so thus you dehumanize whoever the fuck you're talking about, right? Or you're a brainwashed goon or something, which I'm sure a lot of the IDF people are just brainwashed idiots, brainwashed dumb people, like young people that don't know, they don't realize, like, what's most likely going to happen, which is a world condemnation. I mean, like, we're seeing it now, but I mean, like, an official, like, Nuremberg trial style fucking thing. There's a decent chance that could happen. A decent chance. It's because they're doing way too much, and these kids are out here shooting TikToks and Instagrams of them, you know, dancing in Palestinian homes that they're about to, like, level, or giggling and shelling buildings. Those are out. Those things are on record. They are fully recorded. There are people called, it's like, what do they call it? Like Zionist tracker, not Zionist, but a genocide tracker. Right? There's accounts like that. I see them on Twitter that are actually following these guys' social media accounts and watching them post this shit. Right? And be like, yep, here, it's on the record. Don't worry, we'll have a full blown mixtape for you, for everyone that's contributing to shit like that. Like, straight up. And I don't think it's not all of them. Let's be honest, not all of them. But enough people are doing that to where it's like, yep, you're caught. And you're showing off about it on social media. Even Destiny had to, like, hey, with Destiny, with his trip to Israel, right, had to tell these random young men, because he's a young guy influencer, right? He's older, but he influences younger people, most likely. And he's telling them, like, hey, guys, stay off your fucking phones when you're doing military stuff. Stop trying to make memes and shoot TikTok videos. Because people are seeing what you're doing, and they don't like it. Which is a scummy thing for Destiny to do. To be like, instead of calling him out for, like, hey, guys, this is not right. This is morally wrong. Instead of that, he's saying, like, no, hide what you're doing better. Hide it. It's incredible, right? But sorry to cut off these guys. Here we go.
Even the U.S. contractors on the ground called them the zombie horde. The IDF, and in some cases we, don't recognize these people as human beings. And part of my why I want to talk and come out in this is because I saw these human beings. I was there. This photo here, this is on site one. That's a human being. I took this photo. This didn't come from some far left journalist or from the Gaza Health Ministry. I took that picture. This here. These are the people that we're dehumanizing, that we're killing in mass scale, that we're depriving of food and water, that we are torturing in a way because they're not eating it all. And we're calling them all Hamas. That's what we're calling them. So I've seen it with my own eyes. Not everybody is Hamas. And to be fair, I distribute it at every site through distribution windows, morning, afternoon, and evening. Most of the contractors there do one site because they're assigned to that site. Because the nature of my job, I went to all the sites. Not once ever. And I'm pretty keen at looking out for things and staying alive. Not once ever did I witness a threat, a hostile act, a weapon, anyone from quote unquote Hamas. I mean, how do you do that? They don't show up with a t-shirt that says Hamas. So, is Hamas amongst the population? Well, of course they are.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that the entire population is Hamas. So that's the type of discipline and understanding and maturity and wherewithal of an operation like this that's required to do something like this. And it's not there. It's the Wild West. We treat them like animals with no dignity.
Yeah, that's for shit like that should be handled by actual savages. Now, savages aren't psychos that run around looking to grenade everyone like a Tim Kennedy, right? It's a person like with their empathy intact, but also an understanding of any of this shit, war zones or all that stuff, right? Take that plus the empathy of like, well, this is like a regular guy. Like there's some regular guy over there, a regular lady or a kid or something. I'm not looking at the enemy 24/7 to try and win some medal or something like that. Like, I'm sure that guy's achieved enough in the military. Not saying I'm in love with that, but I'm just saying he's probably like achieved enough. I think he has like a bunch of medals in his background or whatever, but I'm sure he's achieved enough to where he doesn't feel the need to be like, fucking Rambo over there. And by the way, with the idea of like there's no threats there, that was also whistleblown by some IDF soldiers. Right? Like, once again, they're not all fucking gun-ho looking to kill people and shit like that. They may be following what, essentially daddy's orders or daddy government's orders, right? Just like we pay taxes, even though people may not like it too much, but they do it anyways, right? They're just like some regular guy who happens to be in this situation versus some of the narratives out there of like they're all bloodthirsty, whatever the fuck. But no, that's not the case. And yes, there are fucking people whistleblowing on shit that's happening. And they tell others about it. Usually they hide, probably because the mass population is not ready to realize what the fuck their government and military is doing. They may not be ready for that. So thus, they have to be anonymous when they say it. But they're out there. You bet your ass they're out there. Anyways, here we go.
You say that you saw, and again, I just want to state for the fifth time, I've met few people with more experience in situations like this. Chaos, foreign country, shooting, soldiers, confusion. So, I think you have a lot of experience interpreting what you saw. You said you saw no threat at all. You didn't see Palestinians with weapons. You didn't feel threatened. It doesn't, I'm sure there's a threat there, but you didn't experience it. But you said that there was shooting.
No one's
Who
really
was
said
shooting at what and why?
The way, so to walk everyone through kind of how a distribution site works in terms of like, how are people being shot at? How does this happen? So early in the morning, the Palestinians, because mind you, the Palestinians, to get to the south, they cannot drive. They have to walk. One way from where they live because they have to go through the established military corridors. Just one way to get to where they have to get to.
Oh my God. So
established corridors?
Well, that I understood.
Cattle?
Right? I thought they
like
could
cattle?
yeah. We saw the video feed, right? They're boxed in with fences and barbed wire and shit like that, right? I knew that was happening, but I thought they would have to Or I thought they'd be able to like drive to an area to where they can enter the corridor to then start going towards aid. All right, that's what I thought. He might be saying that too, but damn, that's crazy. If they have to fully walk for all, like, that's fucking crazy. That is crazy. I assume he means in the corridor. I assume he means that, not like to get around the site, like drive there and then walk through the corridor, which could be who knows how long. I'm sure he's going to say it because he sounds very detail orientated. But all right.
Well, if there was a transportation issue, wouldn't they just bring food to them? I mean, if they wanted to make it easier, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's easier to transport the food than just have everybody walk over. Like, I don't think they're trying to make it easier.
Well, there's that, and then there's like the rationale that they're probably telling soldiers is the idea of like, hey, make sure you're safe at the end of the day, right? Like, make sure you're safe, which means if there's a sense of a threat, go ahead. Kind of like, I think they're actually like giving the orders in that direction of like, yeah, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
As did the many stories that have been gone over of situations where they're not Hamas soldiers. Like the ambulance story was kind of clear as day, right? Where it's like, yeah, there's no threat here, but in case there was, shoot them anyways. And if you get in trouble for it, if we get caught for this, it'll be a slap on the wrist, not for the soldiers, but for the commander. All right? He didn't get in trouble. He didn't go to jail. He got fired and probably moved to a different part of the military somewhere else. All right? So it's like there's no real downfall to just being overly cautious in a lethal sense, right? Like imagine cops. I mean, some cops have operated like that, where they're like, "Oh my god, my life's in danger, so let me like shoot first." That has happened quite a bit, right? But imagine that times 10, where it isn't your citizens that you're looking over, right? These are foreigners to them. I mean, they're native to the land, but they would call them foreigners, right? So it's times 10 most likely.
So I've had this impression about, like, they have like defended or gated borders, like to keep them into like the region.
Yeah.
But I guess, well, I thought watched that movie or documentary, when they would not just take their homes, but like cement their crops and just basically
Oh yeah.
not allow people to find a means to survive for themselves. And
Yeah.
like, I missed. I mean, I kind of knew it to some scale, but what he's describing, like, they're it's much more concentrated and narrowed off, like how much movement they could have if they're doing it like that. Like that, this is as prisoner as possible. Like, it's like from going from like an open air prison to like like a regular prison, right? Like you're just cattled around.
Yeah.
Like, very controlled.
Yeah.
That's getting. I mean, it is. I think effectively much worse. I mean, I know that people are dying and starving and getting shot, but there's no sense of like someone trying, even trying to like figure out how to do for themselves, right? Like grow something, like survivor, like do something for your family.
Yeah.
You're like not allowed.
Yeah. There's no chance to. There's no chance to. And that documentary, I think it was like, was it No Man's Land? I forgot the name of it, but it was the Oscar-winning documentary with about the West Bank, and like they would try to like grow crops, right? And they'd come over and cut the fucking water hoses, so they can't water their fucking plants. Remember that shit? Or they'd build a school and knock it down soon after they built. Like, it's like you watch like it's like very cruel looking. Like, you let them build the fucking school, like you're like sitting back watching them do that, and then once they finish, you knock it down later. It's kind of crazy to me. That's fucking cruel. It's.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is the sense of these soldiers that in these areas that partake in these things or allow things to be happening, like with settlers or whatever. It it looks like because they're in a sense of not being threatened. That's why, which is scary. That's scary to me. Where it's like if there was like a legitimate military threat, maybe you'd have some second thoughts about what you're doing, right? Because there's a sense of like punishment coming back to you if you do something, right? But in these scenarios, it's one way. It's kind of blatantly one way. I know Hamas does attacks and shit like that, and they've killed Israeli soldiers, not in mass, but here or there killed Israeli soldiers. But it looks so one-sided that it feels like relatively feels safe to do what they're doing. Like, oh, there's no pushback from doing this. Like, nothing, no punishment. Not even on there's attempts, I guess, on the international level of like, yo, you'll get in trouble for this. You'll go to jail for this, or this is an international crime, or whatever, right? There's the idea of that, but how threatened are they from those things? I think they will be in the future. Like, I'm sorry, everyone's seeing this, or enough people are saying this to where, yeah, this is not good. From famous as it gets of celebrities to random nobodies that no one fucking knows. Everyone's seeing, like, every demographic is seeing this. Not everyone yet, but I think a lot. A lot. God.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just, I mean, the treatment of people, it's really, I mean, it's really hard to imagine how bad that is. But it reminds me of that Stanford experiment that they did with the prisoners, and they chose prisoner versus like not prisoner, like randomly.
Yeah.
And that the behavior within like, what was it, a week or so, they just had to like stop the whole thing. It's like it was like too much abuse, and
well, that's from a condition point of view. So that needs to be out there as a caveat. There's like heavily conditioned people walking into an experiment versus, someone who stopped for themselves at some point, right? I think that'd be a lot different.
Right. Sure. But there's some conditioning. There could be various reasons things start, but then then there's some people do it, and others like see that it's okay for them or not punished. And there's a lot of reasons why people end up like accepting things as okay, but
I think there's one reason, but one giant reason.
Well, I don't. What would you say that is? I don't.
Well, you're like you have not owned yourself. That's why you haven't owned yourself. So thus, you can be conditioned by anything. This is why I say terms like "man of the times," because the times are deciding why you go left or why you go right, instead of like you observing. Okay, there's this idea that makes me want to go left or makes me want to go right that I can actually tie. I can actually like breadcrumb and find where I'm thinking that way and why I'm thinking that way. Because maybe the principal told me, or my dad told me, or my mom told me, or something like you can actually, there's events that tie to it that I can actually observe. And once I observe that, then it's kind of, and we know this based on just simple observation. Like if someone points out you're doing something, hey man, why are you tapping your foot? All of a sudden, that event of you tapping your foot has changed. It wasn't autopilot mode. It's not autopilot mode anymore because you notice that you're tapping your foot. Now it's like, okay, damn, why am I tapping my foot? Right? It already breaks the conditioning itself. And typically, in something that's like in a criminal sense, right? Think of like the serial killer who's locked into their world, right? Of doing horrendous things, right? But no one caught them yet, and it's kind of they're living in their own little imagination world of things. Like this is okay in their world, right? It makes sense in their world. Maybe not to us, but in their world it makes sense, right? And then imagine when like the bright light comes on, it's like, all right, we got you, freeze, right? All of a sudden, the reflective nature of your experience, like now I'm like seeing myself with these things, and like, damn, what the fuck are they gonna think about this? Oh no, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like you see yourself, which, I mean, I'm sorry, any IDF soldiers that have contributed to this. Some people are aware, right? Let's be honest. There are people who are aware, like, yeah, the world will not like what they're seeing here. They won't like this.
Mm-hmm. Like BB.
Yeah, he's
shows
aware.
a high awareness of what he's doing.
Yes.
But he's made his choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they're aware of it. Thus, their reaction will probably be a little bit different. But
yeah,
I'm saying for the average soldier that thinks this is okay, and then the world shows them like this is not okay. And no, it's not because you're Jewish, right? They smash all the bullshit, right, and just give them the straight up fact, like, yo, this is wrong. For most people, this is fucking wrong. And then that's a moment of moments. That is the experiment where they played a tape back for them, right? The Milgram experiment, they played a tape back for like, this is how you behaved once you felt like you had some sense of power or whatever, right? Or like some sort of immunity to being an asshole or something. Like, no, sorry, here's the tape. We're playing it back for you. What do you think now? Oh man, like, well, I was like, I got locked into the mode. I didn't know what I was doing. On and on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
I'll never do that again.
That's why I kind of brought it up because, like, well, some of these IDF are like regular people. I would say I would call regular people because they're, I think they take in about a third of the population end up becoming their soldiers.
Yeah.
So a lot of people involved, and my thought goes to like how can they, like, they're in some kind of world. Their world tells them certain things. I think that's what you're referring to as conditioning. And how can they like see what others would see so that it's they could be more have a different awareness.
Well, something in the ego has to, let's be honest, has to be smashed to pieces. Something within the psyche has to be smashed to pieces. Their idea of the world. It could be something like on the nasty side of life, right? Like some sort of commander or higher up shitting on them for whatever reason. Like shitting on them for handing a piece of bread to a kid or something, right? Like, what the fuck you doing? We're not supposed to be, like, I thought we were the good guys, though, right? And the idea gets smashed. Or something as dramatic as, let's say they get caught, quote unquote, caught behind enemy lines, right? And it's not Hamas, though. It's some family, and they take care of him, and they heal him. They bring him back to health, right? They take care of his wounds, and like, okay, you better now. We're feeding you too. We have a little bit of food, but we're gonna share with you, like some sort of overly empathetic family, right? Then it smashes the idea of what the quote unquote enemy is at that point. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. They could have killed me. They could have turned me over. They could have did this, did that, but they took care of me. So thus, my idea of how I saw this in the first place is smashed to pieces. My thing is, I want you to already go there before it happens. Don't wait. Do not end up in an HBO documentary in 20 years saying, damn, I fucked up. I don't want to hear it then at that point. I mean, I want to hear it, but at the same time, it's like, God damn it, we had to wait for you to figure it out. And guess what? There's a million other versions of the same, like, other versions of you doing that same shit. You have to wait 20 years for them too? Fuck. Right? It's like, it's kind of heartbreaking. So, like, why not outflank the idea of being conditioned or whatever? But, all right. We're taking too much. Let's get back to this, because I want to hear more. I have not found a point to jump off yet. I'm getting information and information and information, and I smell a sense of heart behind it too, not just cold, calculated info, right? Like he's showing his expertise. As far as I'm like, I can't say I know, but it sounds like that. And there's like heart behind it. So I'm like, damn, keep fucking talking, dude. Keep talking. Here we go.
Early in the morning, the Palestinians, because mind you, the Palestinians, to get to the south, they cannot drive. They have to walk one way from where they live because they have to go through the established military corridors. Just one way to get to where they have to get to. They have to walk, so they can't just walk straight down to the site. They have to go west to the coastal corridor, down the coastal corridor, into the Marag corridor, down to the sites.
And if they step outside of that, they get shot
anywhere
at.
from 8 to 12 kilometers one way to get to the site. So when they queue up in the morning at the intersection of the Marag corridor and the coastal road, and the queuing gets into the magnitude of thousands, the IDF hold them there with tanks in place.
It's like 8 miles.
When the UG Solutions personnel call on the radio to the IDF to say the site is ready, the crowd is released in a massive tidal wave of people. It's dehumanizing and rushing towards the
and it's
site
dangerous.
because they're starving. As they're coming to the site, the IDF shoot at them. Machine guns, mortars, tank rounds, artillery. I have all of this on video.
Like, why they shoot? Like somebody's got to explain that to me.
Well, I think they're trying to exterminate them.
15
personally.
seconds. Hundreds of Palestinians are already on the site.
Like, this is not like, it's so compelling when you see it. And I'm like, because I watched it, and as I'm watching it and being there, and you hear early morning hours, pre-dawn, sunrise over the Mediterranean, thousands of Palestinians rushing down to the site, and over their heads, you just see tracer bullets flying, tracers, tank rounds, artillery rounds, and they do that to keep the Palestinians on the right path.
Oh,
my suggestion from the very beginning was like,
holy shit!
Can we try to sign?
Yeah.
Put a sign out there? Like, I don't know, like put a sign in the road that says go this way instead of shooting a Markava tank round. Like, I think that would be a great way.
That was the idea.
To kind of start.
That was the idea, or that was what the anonymous IDF soldier was saying. If they step out of bounds, they get shot at. And it's almost like once again, like uncaring for like sometimes it's shooting over their heads, sometimes it's shooting at feet, right? And let's be real, sometimes like bullets are gonna go flying sometimes where it doesn't hit the ground. And let's be real, do they care? Do these guys care? If they're like, oh, I'm gonna hit this guy's feet or shoot at his feet, and they miss by a little bit and take someone's ankle out, do they care? Do they suffer a recourse for that? Should that even be necessary for a human being to be like, all right, that's fucked up. I fucked up right there. I fucked up so bad, I'm gonna turn myself in type shit.
Like, these are controlled people. Like, they're they know who all of these are to some extent. They're under their control. So they're not. You can't be like, oh, dude, Hamas snuck in to get food. Like, if that were the case, they're already within their group. Like,
yeah. Well, like he said, and I agree with. There probably is some Hamas guys in there getting some food or aid or something like that. But what seems to be guaranteed is that there's no one armed there. There's no one with weapons running around there. So thus, there's no excuse for the way they're going about this.
Yeah, but even the idea that Hamas might be there and get some food, like they're not handing out like weapons or anything. They're handing out food.
Yeah.
So if it's a Hamas person getting food or a non-Hamas person getting food, they're getting food. Like, I don't understand the idea of shooting at people. Like, I don't see any way to like even pretend to, like politicians like will reword things. They'll be sly with their with their framing of things. So I don't see any way you can even pretend in this. Like
Once you
it's
know the
disgusting.
context, yeah. Once you know the context, then yes, I
Yeah.
agree. But if you just blame Hamas for everything, as the Trump and Netanyahu administrations have been doing, then
Mhm.
it's just a cure-all scenario. It's like Alex Jones saying the deep state whenever Trump blatantly does something corrupt or fucks up. Right? It's just blame some sort of mysterious thing that we don't have an actual grasp of what it is actually. Right? Just blame everything on that. Thus, you can shoot at people and kill them and be like, well, they could have been Hamas. They stepped out of bounds. It could have been Hamas. So, all right, here we go.
Nope, cost too much. We're not going to do it. Oh, okay. Telling. That's a telling proposition. So as they're coming to the site and they're getting shot at, it's dark. The Israeli forces in the south are reserve conscripts. They're not the IDF that are in the elite active army unit. They're conscript reservists. They don't train. They don't get a lot of training. Rarely do they get to shoot their weapons.
Oh my God.
And they don't have night vision capability. So they're shooting into the dark at thousands of people. To say that when the sun rises and bodies are strewn along the road, and the IDF say, "Oh, we didn't do that." Really? Well, then, how did that happen then? Like, you did do that. Like,
that is fucking crazy. I have not heard that before. That these aren't even like, military guys. Like, it's fucking it's like it's borderline untrained people are doing. I'm wrecked, dude. Not to say the IDF wouldn't be just doing something close to that or similar, but this just makes it. It looks like the fucking kid in the Louis Theroux documentary, like hey man, you can't cross this line because you're Palestinian, right? He's like stopping those guys from moving around, right? It looks like that. Where it's like, yo, if you were in a war zone, you wouldn't know what to fucking do. Fuck, bro. I'm sorry for cutting him off, but that's fucking nuts. Here we go.
you did do that. Oh, Hamas did it. Hamas is nowhere here. There's this entire area is a militarized controlled zone. There's no Hamas here. I was like, if Hamas got into here, y'all really aren't doing your job. Like, there's no Hamas. No one with weapons. Dead people strewing along the streets. So when you see on the news at Nasser Hospital, when patients get brought in and people then say, oh, that's just Hamas propaganda. No, it's not. It is not Hamas propaganda. It's real. The shooting, the indiscriminate shooting, when they get onto the site in this mass crowd, just imagine, if you will, if it was Black Friday at Walmart and they cleared out the Walmart, they moved everything out. And in the middle of the Walmart, they just put a box of TVs and they were free. First in gets them. And at 9 o'clock, the door crashes open and everybody's squeezing in through this small door into this area. And you've got 2 security guards there. On every site, there are 22 armed security guards pulling security. So that's 1 to 409 ratio. 1 guard to 409 people ratio. There's no way that the armed security can manage or control that safely. There's no way. It's impossible. So when they get onto the site, I called it the 8 minutes of mayhem. Within 8 minutes, 25,000 boxes of food.
Is that fool gonna walk miles with that shit on
taken
him?
Down and gone. 8 minutes. It's one of the most chaotic, deprived, dehumanizing things I've ever seen in my life. And I was in Baghouz Fagani when ISIS surrendered. Talk about dehumanization. That is the worst I've seen in my life. At the end, when there's a few.
By the way, he left. Okay, I was gonna say to him. He left. Whatever. I was gonna say, like, I know we joke around, we talk about pop culture and shit like that with K to C, but I'm like, this is something like I never tell him like, hey, watch this political thing. I don't really do that with him. This is something where I'd be like, watch this in your lifetime. But he left. All right, here we go.
25,000 boxes of food are stripped through, taken down, and gone. 8 minutes. It's one of the most chaotic, deprived, dehumanizing things I've ever seen in my life. And I was in Baghouz Fagani when ISIS surrendered. Talk about dehumanization. That is the worst I've seen in my life. At the end, when there's a few people left to pick up the remnants of aid, some beans, some rice, the UG Solutions personnel then start clearing the crowd with the procedures that they've adopted from the IDF, where we throw stun grenades, we spray pepper spray. I saw in a recent video last week of a UG Solutions person that I know who that person is. Like, I know it's real. I know he's there.
I saw
I
that
know it's a
video
real
too.
person. It's not
Where
fake.
they maced
And he's
someone.
standing on a berm, and they have these new devices where it's about the size of a fire extinguisher with a fog hose on it to just spray tear gas.
Yeah.
They have those now. And so now that's the standard operating procedure. And as they get to the gate and the gates are closed,
look at that.
The IDF guards then shoot at them at their feet, over their heads, in the air, just like the IDF do. And
all I gotta say is,
again, like yesterday,
is when he said, well, you can't put signs because that costs money. Bullets, grenades, weapons cost a lot more money.
Oh yeah.
They're full of shit. It costs a lot more money.
Well, it boosts the
Besides
American
what it does.
economy, though.
Yeah, it's just.
It
I can't believe it, like,
circulates
seeing
money,
that
bro.
shit.
For America, circulates the money. These are the devil worshippers that we're dealing with.
This is hard to watch, yeah.
But we better fucking watch it though.
Yeah.
We better fucking. All right, here we go.
Now that's the standard operating procedure. And as they get to the gate and the gates are closed, the IDF guards then shoot at them at their feet, over their heads, in the air, just like the IDF do. And again, like yesterday when GHF gave their press conference, they even said that. Like, Mr. Aguilar has said that shots have been fired at civilians. We only shoot at their feet, over their head, and in the air. Like that's exactly what I'm saying you do. You're correct. But when you're shooting bullets that come out of an automatic rifle at a crowd of thousands of people, and you can't see them because there's berms and there's dust and there's intervisibility lines that you can't see, and you're just shooting, you're going to kill somebody. Period. So our guys don't shoot at them. They shoot at their feet. They shoot over the head. They shoot into the air. Okay, well, shooting at them, targeting innocent, unarmed civilians on the battlefield for the purpose of controlling them or controlling the crowd. Again, there you go. Another war crime.
Illegal.
So when we're doing these things, we're just egregiously violating international standards, the standards that we as Americans expect.
People were hung at Nuremberg for things like this. Literally things like this. Shooting at prisoners.
Yes. Shooting at prisoners. As a case in point, in the United States Army, if I were fighting in Germany and a squad of German soldiers that was just shooting at me puts down their guns and raises their hands, they just became a prisoner. I have to feed them. I have to give them water. I have to take care of them. I have to give them safe passage to captivity or to holding. You can't just shoot them. There are rules in combat. There are rules in conflict, and we must abide by those. Now, what I find to be incredibly, incredibly concerning for the American people and for my fellow teammates, my guys on the ground, American citizens, is that GHF's position is, well, this isn't a war and we don't have to abide by those rules. Well, you do.
What?
Those rules apply to everybody no matter what. But even more so that you should not have the authority to shoot at anybody. We are there as tourists, as I said in the beginning of the show. Tourists. We should not be pulling the trigger of that gun unless it is absolutely to protect an imminent threat to our life. And a case in point, from all of the days and all of the times and all of the sites, I didn't pull the trigger on my rifle one time. I didn't pull the pistol on my rifle one time. Never even took it out of its holster. Stun grenades, tear gas, didn't use it once. Because I didn't need, not because I'm some soft, anti-gun, that I didn't need it. Never one time did I ever need to pull my rifle, shoot my gun, or use means to stun or hurt a civilian. Ever. Not once. And I was at more distributions at more sites, more time than any single person in the UG Solutions architecture. And not once did I ever need to do that, ever. And I think I know something about, when it's time to shoot, done a lot. So never felt that I had to do that ever once. It's
he's
immature.
like, I killed people before.
It's dangerous.
That's what he's saying.
It's a violation of our American values. That is not how America engages on the world stage. We are the ones that do right. We are the ones that choose the harder right over the easier wrong. We don't do it because the IDF say it's okay to do it and therefore we can do it. Well, we made that bed and we are in it. And that bed is about to get flipped over by the international community. And if we don't stand up and say something now, like today, tomorrow, if we don't stand up and do something about it, we're going down that road, and it's not a good road to be on.
Now, it's actually kind of similar to the thing I brought up of, the idea of this thing in the psyche cracking, right? Their idea of the world and the roles and the conditioning and all that stuff. He probably went through his own version of that, I guess, with this, but I mean, it should have already been there with, like, the Iraq War and all that stuff and Afghanistan and why the fuck are we there in the first place. If he keeps studying, I'm sure he'll find out, like, okay, this was maybe not the best thing, and I got hoodwinked by a bunch of politicians. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But it is kind of a little ironic, right? Of the thing that, like, a possibility of an IDF soldier realizing, like, damn, I fucked up here. And once again, like, I'm not the person that gets on camera or on whatever, streaming or whatever, and just shit on U.S. soldiers. I don't do that. I never do that. I never do that. Could I think they're silly, like what their reasons are for being there? But yeah, that's kind of silly. It's kind of dumb. But I don't shit on them as, like, these are bad, evil people, evil military. I don't do that. I never do that. Because the people that are claiming to be the good guys or righteous about something must practice the most extreme forms of empathy. So, if I shit on this guy because of his time in Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever, right? Like, just full-blown shit on him without any care about where he comes from or his thought process, that'd be incredibly stupid to do, I think. And probably harmful for maybe the guy may get bothered by that and never tell us this story today that we're hearing right now. I'm just saying. And same should apply to IDF soldiers, for sure. Or I guess, conscripted reserve soldiers. I guess them too. They could be dumb kids, for all we know. But, all right, let's continue.
I hope you can tell your story on Fox News and on every American media outlet as soon as possible. I hope they will have you.
That's not going to happen.
I'm not betting on it, but I hope they
probably
will.
Not going to happen.
So let me ask you about the story that you have
scary.
told. That's a really difficult story, awful story, but about the boy who you were in contact with, who was killed, shot to death. What happened?
So, this little boy is similar in age to my son. Brown eyes. My son has brown eyes. I see my son's face when I look at him. And this little boy, he's not ISIS. He's not a combatant. This was on secure distribution site number 2, the 28th of May, our second day of doing distribution. I'm on that location. I didn't get this secondhand. I didn't see it from afar and then assume I saw it. I touched it. I felt it. Other people saw it. This young little boy, his name is Amir. I know that because when he walked over from the crowd of people, he walked toward me. There was two of us standing there, 2 UG Solutions guards standing in that area. and he was walking towards us, and we thought maybe he was hurt or maybe he was asking for some more food because all he had in his arms was a small bag of rice, half a bag of flour, some lentils that he had picked up from the ground. He didn't have much. And we thought maybe he was asking for more food or maybe he was hurt. And we notioned him over, and he came up and he extends his right hand at us. And so I kind of walked up to him and waved him over. And the guy standing next to me, this young boy, holds his hand and he kisses it. And then he comes to me and he holds my hand and he kisses it. In Arab culture, that is a very significant sign of respect. That's not something that should be taken lightly or something that should be, that's a big sign of respect. And we were taken aback by that. The gentleman that was standing next to me was also a military veteran, combat veteran. So he's been to Afghanistan, Iraq, and he was moved by it. He was touched. I was touched. And as he was standing there, we were both looking at him, and he was very emaciated. He had no shoes on. His pants were tattered. He had a kind of a rope or string holding his pants up. Filthy. Probably hasn't bathed in months. Probably hasn't eaten in days. And oh, by the way, when they walk 8 to 12 kilometers to get to these sites, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation mechanism provides no water. Zero. Not a single bottle. Because it's too expensive. Distributing water weighs so much that it breaks down the profit per cost per truck. That's a fact. Because I asked why, and I was given a lesson in it. This is why. It's too expensive. So we give them no water. All of their food, by the way, requires water to cook it. Rice, lentils, beans, flour. You got to have water. So what we're giving them, I don't know how they're eating it, but he's standing there, and I put my arm on his left shoulder, and I look at him, and I can feel the bones in his shoulder. I can feel the weakness in his arm. I can feel the vulnerability. I can feel the desperation. And I look at him, and I got down on my knees, or I'm looking at him in the eyes, and then I say to him, I said, people care. America cares. You're not going to be forgotten. People in the world care. And he doesn't speak English, and I don't speak Arabic. But the connection we had in looking at each other, he felt for the first time in a long time that there was someone that cared. And I got down on a knee, and he came to his level, and the items he had in his hand, he sets them down on the ground. And he raises his hands, and they're small, fragile. You can see bones sticking, just the bones through the skin. And he places his hands on my face, and he kissed me. And he looked at me in the eyes, and he says, thank you. He said it in English. Thank you. Like, people are starving in Gaza. People are dying in Gaza. These children that are starving and dying, these children, they look like everyday Americans. This child is picking up noodles off the ground with his bare hands because there was no food left. So he's picking up noodles to put into his backpack.
This guy better not be full of shit, or I'll break something.
Amir goes back to the main group, and he goes out the exit. We had a very strict protocol that they come in a certain way, get the aid, and then they go out a certain way. From the way they came in, it takes them back to the way they came in. The exit takes them back that same way. So they enter from the Morag corridor. They go south. They go through the station. They exit, and they go north to the Morag corridor. So coming in and going out, they're tied right back into the active combat zone. Site number 2 particularly is a little bit different than the other sites because it's in between site 1 and 2. And there's an IDF combat outpost just off the corner of SDS 2. So there's a berm that lines that road going out. So if people are leaving the exit and someone is on the east side of the berm shooting into the crowd over here, you can't see what's on the other side of that berm because of the obscuration, the field of fire. So the IDF are shooting at the crowd that's leaving. As the crowd left and they would hit the Morag corridor to go west, the IDF would shoot at them, shoot at their feet, shoot over their head. We would shoot at them, shoot at their feet, shoot over their head, shoot into the air. And the bullets start hitting off the ground. There's video of this. It's on the BBC video. Hitting off the ground, see dirt flying up. And I was still on the site. I was below the berm. It was the second time we had done distribution. So when I heard the gunfire kick off, the automatic machine gun fire, I thought we were under attack. I thought something had happened. So I ran up to the southern berm and I laid down to take cover. You know, I'm observing and I'm looking, and I see the shooting keep going on, like just the rap and Palestinians dropping on the side of the road. So Amir didn't make it home. He walked 12 kilometers to get some food, picked up scraps off the ground. That's all that was left, because the 8-minute mayhem took all of the food. And by the time he got there, walking with no shoes, hungry and tired, the only thing left for him was to pick up some remnants off the ground. And when he left, he was killed by the IDF. Why? Because they lack discipline, they lack standards, and they lack basic human decency. Now, do I think that they intentionally shot him or shot the people they were shooting at? No. But when you use machine guns and tank rounds and mortar rounds to control a crowd, what do you think is going to happen? And the United States stands by and watches it. As in the press conference that GHF gave last night. Will the IDF shoot to control the crowd? We only shoot at the crowd in the air around them or at their feet. We don't shoot into them. Unacceptable behavior. That is not how professionals behave when dealing with a civilian population. You use things like signs. What I thought would be another great tool would have been a loudspeaker with a microphone with an interpreter. Because no one there speaks Arabic and they don't speak English. So when you're dealing with a crowd of 8,000 to 9,000 people and you're trying to communicate with them, and I was like, how about before we start shooting, how about we do two things? One, we provide a loudspeaker with a translator. Two, we put signage. We put signs out there that say, go this way, go that way, turn left. They don't know where they're going. They don't live here. It's a war zone. So the only way I could describe the sites is death traps. And they didn't become death traps. They were designed as death traps. And the United States puts aid and we lure them in. And when they leave, they get shot at coming and they get shot at going. So the reports you hear from Nasser Hospital, which is about 5 kilometers from site number 2, Nasser Hospital, that you hear all the reports of dead civilians coming in to get treated. The doctors have said this is grotesque. Doctors have testified that every time GHF does a distribution at site 1, 2, or 3, which the road from those goes directly to the Nasser Hospital, they get a massive influx of patients to what they call mass casualties, an MCI, mass casualty incident, every time.
Have you ever heard of any other country do it? I've never heard of anything like this, but I haven't spent 25 years deployed in war zones.
Nazis.
I've never seen it. You've never seen this anywhere?
Anywhere to this scale. Now, in other countries that I've been in with partnered forces, are there sometimes an errant or undisciplined, bad apple in the group that you discipline and you correct that behavior? Sure, I've seen that. At this scale, to where it's widely accepted, but then to also the fact that the UG Solutions contractors also do it under the guise of, well, the IDF do it, so we're fine with doing it. Never have I seen an American behave this way. Never have I seen an army. And I've seen some pretty ragtag armies in my day. And never have I seen this level of depravity and just disrespect for human dignity. And the word I keep using, because it's the only way I can describe it, is because America is giving tax dollars to it. It's un-American.
Now, you came out and told this story, I think 2 days ago, or a couple of days ago for the first.
We saw both administrations essentially support this. So according to it's very much American government. It very much is. Not all of the government, but some of the figureheads. It's very much American in that sense. Not, your average person, right? Like on the street. It's not them, no. But the American government, this is par for the course. This is right in line with what they've done over decades. And it's not them in the sense of, some sort of apparatus. I mean, like in the sense of the individuals that just happen to occupy these spaces continuously do harmful things around the world year after year, administration after administration. Those things have never changed. Not once. But, all right, here we go.
Word I keep using because it's the only way I can describe it is because America is giving tax dollars to it. It's un-American.
Now, you came out and told this story, I think 2 days ago, or a couple of days ago for the first time in public.
And it's more than tax dollars, by the way. Way more than tax
pushback,
dollars.
as there always is. And your integrity was called into question. You're a liar. You're a propagandist. And this boy is not dead. This boy is not dead, is what they said. Can you address that?
I directly communicated to the lawyer in the GHF press conference that I demanded that he retract that, and I gave him the facts. And this is why. The picture that they used, that GHF used and has circulated, the picture they have of a small boy with a contractor with his hands on his head.
It's not the same kid.
Juxtaposed to the picture of me that I took with this boy standing next to me. What's ironic is that the picture they have of the contractor standing there with his hand on the boy's head, I took that picture too. It's like they're giving me back my own material as proof to the material. It's absurd. So the picture that I have, this picture with me, myself, and Amir, and everybody on site, that is distribution site number 2 on the 29th of May. That picture's been geolocated, metadata checked. It's legit. The picture that they provided to say, oh, look, here's a picture of this contractor 2 days later with Amir. Disgusting. Disgusting. That picture that
Clearly
I took,
not the same kid.
the guy with his hand on the kid's head, is from site number 4 on the 1st of June.
They look nothing like each other, too.
There is no way physically possible that the child could have gotten from site 2, sites 1, 2, and 3 are all the way in the south of the Morag corridor. Site number 4 is all the way in the central at the Nesarim corridor. Nobody can cross between those two areas. So unless he flew there or beamed him up and he transported there, that wouldn't be him. But number 2,
I'm sorry, but I say this quite a bit. Like, if you fall for this, you're a fucking idiot. Those kids look nothing like each other, actually. I'm looking at them. Like, sorry. They don't look alike at all. Fuck the haircuts.
You can tell.
Look at their faces.
Yeah.
They don't look the same. I'm sorry.
Different nose. Yeah.
It's like instantly realize, like, not the same person. Isn't that insulting? Is that insulting? Fuck, man. All right, here we go. That's crazy.
Nobody can cross between those two areas. So unless he flew there or beamed him up and he transported there, that wouldn't be him. But number 2, you put the pictures right next to each other, not kind of like here and here. But
this is what you said, that they would try to discredit him, right?
Obvious they're not the same person. They don't have the same hair.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was already discussed in the breaking points thing. Right, I'm sure this is like previously recorded video. It's just like a longer take. Yeah, for sure they would, and that would happen even if I didn't see that. I would have guessed that, right? Like, yeah, they will try to discredit this guy, and I would assume that if it reached certain levels, to where this guy maybe someone gave him room in Congress to testify in front of Congress, you would start hearing directly from the United States government, this guy's full of shit. Look, here's his fuck ups. Here's him cheating on his wife or something, like whatever they come up with, right?
Right.
They would do that most likely. And it's like, once again, for anyone that fucking doubts me when I say devil worshipping, think again. I'm sorry, but what else do we call shit like this? What?
Hold on. He's obviously Qatarian.
Oh, okay. Drum guitar. You gave.
Levin's on top of it.
Ah, got it. All right, fair enough. He's a terror supporting Qatari agent. Got it. All right, here we go. So, hey guys, remember, keep that in context. Keep that in your minds. He works for the Qatari government. Just keep that in mind when you're watching this. So you don't fall for the propaganda.
Who needs proof?
I know. Fuck that. All right, here we go.
They don't have the same teeth. Their ears are a different size. I ran it through an AI generator and it said that's not the same person because it's not the same person.
So
it's pretty obvious to your eyes. It's not the same person.
Why would this humanitarian foundation, whose funding we know nothing about, you worked for them and you still know nothing about them. I'm sure they're taking U.S. tax dollars. Run by this
That's a fact.
They're taking U.S. tax dollars. Run by this Christian Zionist kind of preacher, maybe. It's not exactly clear who he is. I looked him up online. He's got all kinds of business ventures that don't, I'm not going to pass judgment, but he also says he's a preacher. Johnny Moore?
Stolen valor cunt.
Why would a Christian leader try to hide the fact that a child was murdered?
So here's my take on it is that, and the other thing is that there's humanitarian organizations in Gaza that are currently from that photo looking.
Or he's already here watching you fucking
and
idiots.
that will come out soon when they
dummies.
confirm that he is dead. That has also been put out to the Nasser hospital to confirm, that boy was brought in on if he was brought in. So the truth will come out. The truth always wins. I've known that in my entire life. The truth always wins. And I know it's the truth because from the picture they provided on site 4 and the picture they provided on site 2, I took those pictures. I was standing there. Like, I took those pictures. So for the concept to say that, oh, look, here's Amir a couple days later at the same site. First of all, they said, here's Amir a couple days later at the same site. Well, that's not true because the picture that they have from a couple days later is from site number 4. I was there. I took the picture. They're not the same child. Why the cover up or why the lying? So when they say that I have an agenda, political, whatever it may be, there's absolutely no evidence of that. I've never run for office. I don't own a business. I don't write books. I don't have some kind of platform. I don't have a podcast. I don't even have social media. I mean, they shut down my MySpace account last month because they took it down
MySpace
from the web. So I don't even have MySpace anymore. So I have nothing I have no skin in the game of this, but to tell the truth, what they have in the game is a lot of money to the tune of tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. So do they care about a Palestinian life or the
No.
people know about that life over making hundreds of millions of dollars? Well, the American people can judge that. Who do you want to believe? A 25-year veteran who went to West Point where our motto is duty, honor, country. A cadet will not lie, cheat, or steal or tolerate those that do. And I lived that motto and graduated from West Point and lived that motto in my Army career. And I have nothing to gain from any of this whatsoever at all. That I was there and I took the pictures and I witnessed it with my own eyes and it brings me to tears. I'm a 43-year-old man, 25 years in the Army as a Green Beret. You think I went to acting school for this? It breaks my heart. So who are you going to believe? The evangelical Zionist who has billions of dollars to gain by this, by everything being just fine? Or the 25-year veteran Green Beret who went to West Point, who's earned a Purple Heart for this country, who's bled on the battlefield for this country, who's earned Valor Awards for combat valor? Who are you going to believe? The guy that sits in Washington, D.C. that's been to Gaza once? Or his lawyer who's never been to Gaza at all? Or are you going to believe the guy that was there, that took the pictures, that touched the boy, that saw it with my own eyes? So who are you going to believe? That's what I offer.
Yep. Well, I think most people watching will make up their minds on that pretty quickly. We are going to attempt to interview Johnny Moore.
It's not going to happen,
he agrees
Tucker.
to that interview. So my last
luck.
question is,
that happens.
I just want to thank you a third time for taking the time for this conversation.
I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for your time and your platform. This is an important story, and this is not my story. I'm simply the vessel to translate the story of the people in Palestine, human beings. Let's just call them human beings that are being treated with inhumanity. So I thank you for your time. This is great.
What should the Trump administration, what should the United States government do in response? I hope that every decision maker, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this happens.
What should they do?
Sees your testimony, sees this video, listens to what you just said, and you just experienced firsthand. But how should they respond to it?
Well, I'd also like the analysis that I had sent to your producers on the, I created a product for them last night with the comparison of the boy they said was him and put them together with the map data and everything. So sharing that would also be helpful, because I think it's shameful to make a political position out of something like that. But it's also in a way kind of telling to where, according to Johnny Moore, every Palestinian looks alike. Not a good look, Johnny.
No.
So
not what our religion says, that God knows every hair on your head and that each soul is distinct and created by God. I mean, that's a foundational Christian understanding of humanity.
It's a great point. That's a great point.
For a self-described Christian preacher to say something like that is shocking to me.
So, it's not that shocking.
So your question on what should be done, great question, because that's the the second part of my effort here is to take action. I don't just throw up problems. I want to provide solutions. And there's been thorough analysis done on this. I've done the analysis, and I've got no. I've already given it to UG Solutions. I was like, here's the analysis I've done. Here you go. So the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation should cease to exist, and here's why.
Agreed.
The existence of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and its creation and existence creates a misnomer, a lie, that this mechanism is working and that the UN is not needed. That's a lie. Regardless of what we call the method, whether it's GHF, whether it's the UN, whether it's Greta Thunberg handing out PBJ sandwiches on the Mediterranean beach, whatever the method is, it has to be able to feed 2.21 million people a day, 3 meals a day, every day,
it's less than that, but yeah,
and bring in water, fuel. Remember, the GHF aid brings no water, no Pampers, no diapers, no fuel, no medicine, no hygiene products, just dried food, nothing else.
Yep.
Nothing else. So the method, whatever it is, needs to be a method that can handle the capacity of 500 to 550 trucks a day, every day, that can manage 400 to 500 sites throughout the entirety of Gaza. I mean, imagine if in the state of Florida they said, hey, you want food, you got to come down to Key West. Everybody. Like, it's absurd. So, the method that needs to be in place has to be able to service 400 to 500 sites in Gaza, needs to be able to service 500 to 550 trucks a day. That's the math. That's the math that's been done. And they need to do it every day. And they need to have experts in humanitarian assistance, doctors to understand medical assessments, veterinarians to look at the animals to make sure that we're not spreading rabies, all these things you don't think about, that because I've done it so much, when you go to places like that, you're like, oh yeah, like if we don't assess the animal population, everybody could die of rabies. We don't want that. All these things that go into that. Well, the UN provides that. That was the UN model. The UN model was taking in 550 to 600 trucks a day, going to 400 sites with doctors, veterans, nurses, teachers, water, fuel, enough food. That was the mechanism. So when it first came out that, the UN method just gives it all to Hamas. Well, Israel themselves, the intelligence apparatus within Israel, the American USAID, the American State Department, other nations in the last day or two have all come out to say there is no evidence that the humanitarian aid was going into the hands of Hamas at any rate that's considerable to make an impact to the feeding. Now, was some of it going into the hands of Hamas? Well, sure, because Hamas is amongst the population. I mean, again, who's Hamas? I mean, I know who they are politically, but how do you tell? Like, hey, are you Hamas? Well, if they don't have their Hamas t-shirt on that day, I guess you won't know. So the mechanism in place now with what's being delivered, well, there's a cut going to Hamas. So we're delivering this much aid right now, and there's a cut going to Hamas, where under the UN mechanism, we can deliver this much aid with that much potentially going to Hamas. It's no comparison. It's no question. The United States should cease funding the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation now today. Demand accountability on where that money went. Because I can tell you, seeing there and being there and the resources that we spent, I don't know where that 30 million went. It didn't go to Gaza. Somebody better check some bank accounts.
Yes, immediately. But
and Trump wants a thank you for that, by the way. He's owed a thank you for doing that.
Good, but it wasn't the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation that shot Amir. So the question is, why would U.S. taxpayers?
You're right. Fair point.
You described the IDF as totally without decency, undisciplined people who committed war crimes on a daily basis. Why would the U.S. government be funding that?
So here's one thing that I will say that I want to make clear on the record. I have worked with the IDF on numerous occasions in my military career, not just in this mission. I stand with Israel in condemning the violence of Hamas.
Yes.
When I got into Israel on May 19th, the very next day on the 20th, I had some time in the evening. I got a rental car and I went from Beersheba, that's where I was staying before we started operations, and I drove to Kibbutz Be'eri. Kibbutz Be'eri is the kibbutz outside of Gate 96 that Hamas hit first when they came through Gate 96. That's the gate they broke. That's the gate they came through, and they slaughtered and murdered 300 people in the kibbutz. Then they went to the Nova Film Festival. I went to those sites. I went there on purpose because I wanted to feel the gravity of Israel's position. I wanted to understand with my own eyes, not what I heard on the news, what I saw, but to feel it. And did I feel anger? Yes. Did I feel disgust? Yes. Did I feel sorrow, sadness, and pain and vengeance? Yes. But there are rules. If we lose our humanity in saying that, well, we're just going to do what Hamas did because they did it so we could do it to them, we've lost. Hamas has already won. We've lost our way. So what I plead to the people of Israel and to the Israeli army, let's not lose our...
Funny enough, that's what I would say to Hamas probably. Like, oh, you're going to copy the tactics of these cunts over here? You're going to copy them? That makes you no better. So thus, quit and leave. You and Netanyahu can hold hands and walk into the sunset together on your own private island. That's my opinion of all the scenarios here. Leave the regular, innocent people alone. Leave them alone. If you guys want to go play at war, go do it over there, away from us. Fuck. That's where I'm at. But, yeah. Once again, military guys are, not all of them, but a lot of them are, like, this fool doesn't, like, realize he got lied into Afghanistan and Iraq. I'm just saying. So, but they have this perspective of there is a sense of necessary force at moments or whatever. Right? But, all right, here we go.
What Hamas did because they did it so we could do it to them, we've lost. Hamas has already won. We've lost our way. So what I plead to the people of Israel and to the Israeli army, let's not lose our way. America and Israel, let's not lose our way.
Your sense of loss,
let's stay the course of what's tried and true and what we've known throughout life, and that's dignity and respect for humans. We all demand that. So the relationship with the IDF, I don't characterize all of the IDF that way. The forces that are deployed in the South, the IDF reserve conscripts,
I can't breathe.
need to be better trained and better equipped and have better leadership to be in the situation that they're in now. Imagine, if you will, if the United States went to war and all of the U.S. Army Rangers and all of the U.S. Army Green Berets and all of the U.S. Army 82nd Airborne was gone and deployed, and we needed more people. So we call up the Boy Scout Pack 902 and say, "Get your guns, boys." We who called them up would be doing them a disservice. Israel has done the IDF
I think we do that.
and they're in a position where they're in way over their heads.
Yeah,
so
we do that.
The behavior that I saw is
we did that in World War II, right? So the British, where they had people that they knew were underage, but they needed bodies. So they're like, okay, just say you're 18 and keep it moving. Let these young kids go out there in battlefields and die or kill. And then those same kids probably like life change for them and not in the better, obviously. But here we go.
Classic. I've seen this throughout my entire career. It's a matter of discipline. It's a matter of leadership. And the same thing I say that I've said before, my issues with the GHF down, it's not the men on the ground that are trying to do their best in the situation they're in. Now, have some made some bad decisions that have done things that are just completely off the field? Yes, they have. There's always a bad actor. But it's the leadership. The leadership has failed to provide guidance and resources and education and training. Same with the IDF in Gaza. Their leadership has failed them because they've put them into a situation that is untenable and that you cannot avoid. You can't avoid the civilian deaths because 8,000 to 9,000 people rushing through your. Imagine if you're an infantry platoon leader and you have your patrol base and you're protecting your platoon and you're defending yourself, and 8,000 to 9,000 people rush through your area. What are you supposed to do? There's not much you can do. And the leadership haven't provided them with any guidance on how to control that situation, just like they didn't provide any guidance to the UG Solutions personnel on how to control that situation. This is a leadership problem that touches all the way down to the tactical level. Now, the IDF should be held accountable for that, regardless of why it happened. When you shoot at civilians with tanks, mortars, rifles, machine guns, when you purposely displace the population, when you purposely use razor wire, again, razor wire banned by the Geneva Convention for the use of civilian purposes for hospitals, water points, and distribution sites. And that's what we're using, razor wire. And the UG Solutions asked for that. When they did, I was like, whoa, step back, cowboy. That's not a good idea. That violates Geneva Convention. We can't use razor wire. Well, there's no difference. And I was like, there is. There's a difference between barbed wire, concertina wire, and razor wire. And razor wire is specifically condemned to the Geneva Convention to be used at civilian sites. Don't use it. IDF gave it to us. They said it was fine. Okay, so let's just rack up another war crime. So the IDF should be held accountable. These things should be investigated. The IDF, I think they've already kind of alluded to this. I don't know if it's happening or not. They seriously need to go through their army and have a seriously restructuring of discipline and standards and leadership. I'm not prepared to say that the entire IDF is that way, but from what I saw from an entire division, the 403rd Division Israeli Reserve in the South, they need a serious sit-down talk amongst themselves to fix themselves, because it's
too late.
It's going off the rails.
Too late for that.
Colonel, I'm grateful. God bless you for doing this. You don't benefit from it. You will be attacked. I think anyone who watches what you just said can make up his own mind about your credibility and your integrity. But from my perspective, you are absolutely the best that we send. And so, again, God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, there's your interview. By the way, like the IDF has been using illegal means, Geneva conventions and all that shit, right? With before October 7th, like white phosphorus being used, which is supposed to be like very much illegal, but it was used. It's caught on videotape. But then again, back then, no one cared about what Israel was doing, which would make me think like, hey man, maybe you missed out on some other crimes that happened. Or you missed out on your own country's crimes in regards to military actions around the world. But then again, you got to start somewhere. Maybe he's he's the 20 years too late guy, but hey. Like I'm not fully shitting on people that are like that. It's just like, it just sucks we have to wait for 20 years for you to figure that shit out. Sucks. At the same time, him talking about this that was very informative, in my opinion. Like at least what I heard, right? I could, maybe he's wrong or lying about something. I'm not saying he is. It's not my intuition about it. But like the way I felt when I'm hearing these things, I'm like, damn, it like rings credible to some degree. I don't know. But then again, for me, even the question being brought up is enough for me to be like, okay, everyone, stop what the fuck you're doing. We're investigating everything. Straight up. That is my logic and how it works. Clearly not the United States government's perspective. And honestly, for him, it should beg the question. Like, well, maybe for him, Trump is unique in supporting this, but I'm pretty sure Biden did too. Maybe not the aid site thing, but like what the IDF and Netanyahu and all this shit, what they've been doing this whole time. Biden definitely saw that. So it does beg the question, like, hey, what is like? Is there more bad shit hiding here? Why is the U.S. sitting back and letting it happen? Right? Those all beg the question. It's not just Trump or his administration by themselves. I'm sorry, it's not. But well, that's for him on an existential level. The overall story of these, GHF sites or aid sites or whatever. Jesus Christ. Like, that is a clusterfuck and a fuck you to morality, I think, from everyone involved. If you're not doing what I think this guy's doing, you're you're fighting against morality, I think. Like, you're working against it actively. Whether it's by force, like as in you're trying to do that, you're trying to do harmful things, or it's by being a coward and you're too afraid to say anything about it. Either way, you are on probably morality's shit list for that. But whatever. It's not whatever, but we continue on because it's for regular people watching this, Americans, anyone watching it, Trump supporters, Trump haters, whatever the fuck. The IQ test is like, there's no fucking way you can still be, in with this at all. There's no way you could be in support of this. Just from the inkling of information that, like, maybe this is not what it seems to be, of some sort of, like, aid, like, actual aid to starving people. So, like, that's just bubble burst. Unless you're a dumb fuck like Alex Jones, which somehow will not see this story, maybe? If I had to guess. Like, there's no way he covers it. Does Alex Jones cover this? I'm not sure about that. He says he loves Tucker Carlson, right? Where's his coverage? I don't know.
I don't think you should.
Well, yeah,
Honestly.
just stay away from it.
Yeah. Like this interview, I didn't watch his other interview, and I'm not sure if I missed the beginning, but this was so different from the amount of other politics podcasts interviews that I've been hearing. From my perception of this, like, was he referencing Trump or any, like, so
No.
the closest thing to politics that I heard him reference was of the organization that was, I guess, distributing this, which
Yeah,
I guess he was a
Germany,
part
whatever.
of that. They like, he was there as a part of that thing, but that was the closest to politics that I heard him talk about. He talked to, he wasn't really talking about policies. Maybe you might say like the references to taxpayer money, but he really didn't talk about policy. Well, maybe like, why are we doing this, and that they're war crimes. So he did call out war crimes numerous times, and I know
Called it not the
he
American
distinguished
way.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, an American way, that kind of echoed the sentiment of, I guess, a soldier or something, or
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I I politics sounds so different to me when I hear, for instance, the lady yesterday. Like, everything sounded um, just like narration, and kind of like the lady we were watching yesterday was just sounded Weasley to me. Like nothing seems sincere or feeling of anything. And
He's talking
this
about
guy,
Alyssa Slotkin, by the way. Just,
yeah. Thanks. I
just so they
wasn't
know.
remembering the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy was talking about things he saw firsthand, things, and I guess when he was countering the attack on his character or that thing, he was referencing. Well, I have the pictures because I took them, and he was talking about like there's the locations right there. He knows that information, and how different that is when we look at like cover ups on.
Yeah.
Well, I won't reference that stuff because that's kind of a detour, but those things are always absent. Those details, they don't really want to give details. He's like, well, I could go further. I could dig in more because I know what that was.
Yeah.
So this sounded very very different, and I hope I don't know like how much he'll get heard. I'd hope he does, but this was much better than. It just sounded more genuine as a like just
Yeah.
closer to how people would talk than politicians.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would say, like, you could say things that look political, but they're not actually political because I'm sorry, the Trump administration is blatantly complicit. Blatantly. So it wouldn't be if he said like, yeah, well, I think the Trump administration is part of this. Like they're directly helping these war crimes happen. Like would not be a political statement to me. That'd be like, yeah, that's what's happening. That's what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Even the money he talked about, Trump brags about giving. Right? He's like, where's my thank you? I deserve a thank you for sending that money over there. The same money he's talking about in this video. So that's why I understand like trying to not look political or trying to look neutral, but I think certain things are just the case. It is what it is.
Yeah.
There's a complicity
Yeah.
from the United States of America. And he said that. He said that basically. But maybe he won't say names. Where I would say names. I very much would. And I fucking don't like politics. I don't like it. But yeah.
Well, that's true. Those that Trump funding and supporting, like he's very clearly, strongly supporting what's happening. Those are statements of fact, right? And he didn't reference those. I think that what happens when you go into those things, when they take sound clips, they do like these little like maneuvers. Um, they're very quick to label like whatever side somebody is on. I mean, the only thing that I might say I heard.
They're gonna lie anyways. For me,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
they're
no.
gonna lie.
This is my truth. This is what I
But
understand. So I just say it.
right, but like let's say
I'm not
when you
strategizing
get
around cunts. I'm just not doing it. Forgive me.
no, I don't think it's about strategy. It's about like um I I think yeah, I don't necessarily consider that strategy. Like it's about like what he's talking about. And I don't think he really is talking about politics, right? Because I think that
No.
really deviates from the message he's trying to say. Um, Trump is funding it, yes, but then like, okay, suddenly, like, even bringing up Trump a lot of times, like puts people on sides for some reason. Like that's not the topic,
I can't
right?
baby carriage those guys though. Like he's what he's
Yeah,
doing, right? I agree with you. He's not playing politics. What is he doing?
yeah,
He's explaining a crime scene, right?
yes,
Now, if a
yes.
perpetrator sneaks out the back door and he leaves footprints, right? And it's like, whose footprints are those? Well, I don't want to say because people will take it a certain like you can't do that, right?
Well,
You have to explain the crime scene strictly as it is, right?
well, I think he's talking about not just a crime scene, but an ongoing crime.
Yes.
He's talking about, hey, let's address, like, or the house on fire. Let's put out the fire. Versus like, all right, like let's investigate who did this. He's like, let's put out the fire. Yeah.
I think he's saying there's a streak of fires being started. It looks like bullshittery. It doesn't look like organic, like nature just caused a fire. It looks like someone's like an arson running around from neighborhood to neighborhood starting fires. And if you don't point out, if you have a realization of who the arson is but don't say it, that's not right. Not saying, like, I understand the idea of like trying to not look political. I understand that, but like to me that's like lay out what you think.
Who's the arson?
He named the IDF. Well, is the IDF on their own brain, just like zombies just doing things, or is it, did they have orders? Who's paying the GHF and supporting them being there? Aren't those questions of crimes? I think they are, right? So thus you can point out those things. Be on the lookout for this person because they're starting fires throughout neighborhoods. That is a part of stopping it. Now, once again, I understand. Maybe the guy who's starting fires is the mayor of the town. He's the mayor of the town starting fires, right? Let's say that's the case. Like, maybe you don't want to just rush the name out there because then it becomes sensationalized and people take it a certain way, right? But at the same time, like, if that's the truth, what do you do? Do you try to baby carriage people's psyches and be like, hey, listen, you can't handle this, so thus I won't say it? Is that what we do?
I honestly don't think he's trying to be evasive of it. I don't think that, at least
not saying he's being evasive. I'm saying,
yeah, I don't think he's avoiding it. I think he's talking about the topic that he's wanting to shine light on.
But that is part of the topic. That is part of the topic, though. Directly part of the topic. It, like, blatantly is. So maybe he's ignorant of it. That's part of the topic because it is. The policy on the ground there for aid distribution is directly tied to the highest people in our government, like blatantly tied to it. There's no way around that one. Or the higher parts of the Israeli government. There's no way around that. So once again, I understand someone not saying that because it could become politicized. I'm saying I don't need those guardrails. Maybe other people do, but I don't. Right? If you tell someone the truth about something, right, or your honest opinion about something, and they take that and turn it into some other shit, it's like, what are you supposed to do? Like, lie to them or omit things? Not saying he's doing that. I'm saying, like what do you do in that scenario? Right? So either he's aware of it and he's hiding it, which would be, I think that would be politicizing it on its own, right? Just hiding information because you think it'll politicize it, which is politicizing. Or he doesn't know, which would be like, damn, keep digging, man. Keep digging. Because there is a very blatant, intricate, like from A to B fucking direct line between these people, these politician people, and the events that are happening on the ground. There's a direct line between them. It's not it's not in smoke mystery thing. It's like very blatant. Very, very blatant. Considering past actions and current actions. I'm just saying. Maybe he doesn't want the U.S. to look too bad, but look kind of bad. I don't know. Which would be like politicizing, right? And once again, there's plenty of actions that the U.S. has done on record that are like, damn, that's kind of disgraceful. Not kind of. It is disgraceful. That is a crime. That is a war crime. But he may be either unaware of that or not willing to say it because politicizing. The very thing you said you don't want to see, essentially, or that you hoped he wasn't doing. So I can't say I know. I'm just saying, like, yeah, you should just say what you really think is that. Like, say it. Say what you really think. Someone's
I
dumb
did see
fuck for
his
that.
bias
That's what it is.
for like the military. Like, well, I mean, he's a part of the military, and his wording of like American way and those type of phrases did show kind of a bias to like of that part of it. Like like he wasn't just going out to like yeah. I I saw that bias for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I see that too. But he's probably like the way he's looking at the Palestinians, right? Where it's they aren't a raving crowd of flesh eating monsters, right? They're just it's people seeking aid, right? Just like when he serves with other soldiers, like these aren't you know bloodthirst. Maybe there's some, as he called them, bad eggs or something, right? But for the most part, it's just a bunch of dudes, whatever, following orders or doing their thing, right? Like, oh, it makes sense. We have the enemy firing at us and we're firing back. Okay, that makes sense in his world, right? He may not know why they're there or how they got there in the first place, but what he understands is, okay, these are like, that's Bob and that's Johnny. These aren't like, you know, killers. Like Johnny, or sorry, they're not zombie, flesh-eating killers, right? They're people that I got to know, and I've cracked jokes with them. They've made me laugh. I've made them laugh. Boom, it's like regular people, so thus they shouldn't be viewed as villains, which is not what I do personally. But then again, there is a whole thing in society that would view them as like straight up, like, oh my god, you Hitler-like zombie. I mean, Hitler himself, right? Not saying he's some sort of good guy, but like there is an aspect of humanity there that can't be thrown in the garbage unless you're a dummy. And that goes with anyone else. Right? It's so yeah. Once again, I refuse to dumb things down because babies can't handle shit. I'm sorry. It's gonna be said. I would ask these questions to this guy, to Tony Aguilar. I would ask him, like, hey man, maybe you ever get lied into Iraq? Or Afghanistan? Like, what do you think about that? Have you ever thought about it? Did you find out like maybe they're bullshitting, or maybe they're telling the truth? Like, what's going on here? Do we have the right to be the world's policeman? Like, what's going? Like, I would ask him those questions. I really would. Like, on it, maybe not to showcase to the world, but like I'd talk to him as a person and ask those things straight up. But yeah, once again, I do understand. I understand. Because people can just take your shit and run a million different miles with it, right? Different directions. So I understand. I mean, basically, like leaving out the politicians out of this stuff. Although, I mean, I think he's aware, right? To some degree, he's like, oh, some guy in Washington is going to tell me what to do over here. Got it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you are navigating a crime scene. So yes, if you have anyone who's a suspect in your mind or perpetrator, yeah, maybe go there. But, go ahead,
He was referencing like the humanity of the Palestinians there. He was talking about with IDF. He's like, well, I guess he served alongside some of them in some cases.
But yeah, before all this, yeah.
Before this, and he somewhat even gave them the benefit of the doubt about the child that he said uh, got shot and killed. He was like, "Do I think they were trying to kill him? Probably not." So he gave him the benefit of the doubt, but he's laying out this at least situation where it's um, it's basically designed to like this is going to happen given you know given the situation. It's going to happen. Like if you have machine guns,
Yeah.
if you have this situation, um, and there's no real reason to like even have that or use it at least. Like there's no reason to shoot in this, so people will die. Like you're gonna end up intentionally or unintentionally like murdering people.
Yeah.
So
Well, he called them like the fake IDF, right? They're
yeah,
you know reserves, right? Conscripted reserves who aren't like what he
yeah.
would call like the actual IDF, right?
Mhm.
According to him,
Yeah, he thought they needed more training. I think, yeah, I would,
you take the
I
Boy
would,
Scouts and throw them in there. They give them guns, say, "Go ahead, do what you want. Go ahead, shoot if you
I
have to."
would characterize the situation differently. I think they have all the training that they wanted to have there, but like I do think that they want those people to die. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the situation. But yeah,
Well, if you have a bunch of like first-time joiner kids, right? Maybe 18, 19, 20 years old, right? Who don't know anything about warfare. Why not do it with people who are not going to shoot back, right? Put them in that like hey, be a mall cop. Not saying it's as you know uh, nothingness as a mall cop thing, but I'm saying like in comparison, like do mall cop duty versus like Mr. Rambo, super soldier guy, right? Hey, you dumb kids that just signed up or just were conscripted to do this, yeah, hang out over here and look after people who have no weapons and they're already starving, right? So they're low energy, other than like survival energy, like oh my god, run, get some food. Look after them with your guns, and at the same time, if they shoot and they kill someone, who's gonna care? I mean, time, yes, in time, like yes, it'll be pointed out probably. Yeah, yes, people do care, and you guys are gonna eat shit for this, most likely. But in the midst of it, who's actually caring? Anonymous soldiers shooting anonymous people with no real coverage for it. Right? There's like we just watched the Alyssa Slotkin lady, right? Where she brought up, oh my God, they're starving, but she's not bringing up, hey, they're getting shot at too. It's not only the desperation of needing food, like they're getting shot at while they're trying to get food too, and while they're leaving, according to this guy, according to Tony Aguilar. So it's kind of like, once again, Holocaust looking. At least the stories we hear from the Holocaust, right? It sounds like that bad. It sounds like, you know, uh, Ralph Fiennes waking up, sitting on his balcony, pulls his gun out, just starts shooting people. Hey, oh, boom, shoot you. Boom, shoot you. Boom, shoot you. Like that's Schindler's List, by the way. He's like, oh, I'm a Nazi. Yawn. All right, let me start shooting people. Kind of indiscriminately, just shooting them and killing them. That is literally the stereotype of the Holocaust, and now we're seeing it in modern day. Once again, unarmed people that are starving for food. They're probably trampling each other to get the fucking food. And then when they leave, they run the risk of getting shot when everyone knows they're unarmed. Come on. Right? There's like no way around it. But, thus is life. I thought I was only going to play like a portion of this video, but I guess I played the whole thing, basically, because it was actually quite compelling. But there it is. Once again, Tucker, please don't copyright me. I mean, you can if you want to. Like, but that'd be stupid. Like, I think you should want everyone to hear what this guy's saying. And I don't think he will, by the way. I don't think he would. That's more of a psychopathic Candace thing to do. But all right, there's your video. Please subscribe if you feel like. Comment, agree, disagree. Tell me what you think in the comment section about any of this stuff. Counter information or supportive information, or if you're just listening and you have a thought about it, please let it be known. Do not forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them, share them, then donate. All of it is very much appreciated. And with all that said, give this video a thumbs down.
Say you wanna get in.